call to order the Board of Trustee meeting for Tuesday, May 17, 2022. The time is now 6 o'clock. Ethical principle and parliamentary procedures. This meeting is for the purpose of conducting the business of the township. Observance of the basic rule of debate in any meeting will enhance its effectiveness through ensuring the discussion is orderly, that every member have the opportunity to speak with wishes of the majority prevailing. There will be no personal attacks. A respectful attitude towards the public, employees, and colleagues will be maintained. The latest version of Robert's Rule of Order will be followed. Trustee Johnson, would you please give us the invocation?
We'd like to bow your hands. That's the heads of things. Lord, thank you for a great sunny day in here. Thank you for giving us our citizens, providing this place for us to come to have our government business. And most of all, thank you for our country that we live in, that we are protected, that we are safe here. And we pray for those who are out of our country, that are out in forces, our police, and that keep us safe. So be with them and be with their families as they miss them when they're gone. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
Here. I move to adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I move to amend the agenda as follows. She's help you follow. Number one, return public comments to the front of the meeting after adoption of meeting minutes to give the residents opportunity to comment on agenda items before they are discussed or acted upon by the board. Otherwise, it appears the board is disregarding input from the residents. Number two, restore and insert trustee comments and announcements after new business, maintaining the ability of trustees to comment and respond to residents and the board. Number three, add setting Robert's Rules of Order version clarification at the start of all business to state definitively the version this board shall use before any further board business is conducted. Although you did state that in your preamble, I think it has to be a board vote. Number four, move motion to pay bills and approve purchase orders to before the work sessions, keeping all regular meeting business before work sessions. And five, add to new business employee incentive for vegetation spray license achievement.
Is there a second?
Item for discussion.
Discussion?
Yes, I think as I said, the agenda should have been amended. It's removing the voice of number one trustee and the voice of our residents. You're requiring them to be here for the entire meeting, 2 hours, to be able to state their concerns after this board acts. I've received numerous emails, and I know that other board members have too, requesting this be restored in the front. Residents, some of those residents are here, and it's going to be a burden for them to wait the 2 hours to make those. And again, I was provided no opportunity to provide agenda items on this meeting. We have urgent business with needing a spray license for the road crew, and you don't even want to consider that. There's only items from Ms. McKee and Mr. Johnson. Again, I wasn't even asked to give the courtesy of providing any, and I did provide some, and those were disregarded. At minimum, the spray license is a needed item for our continued business. We lost that with Brandon, and to delay even further, it doesn't make sense. And again, the public comment should be at the beginning, where the residents provide us input before our decisions are made. Letting them go afterwards, they might as well go in that corner and just speak to the wall. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'll make a motion that we add to the new business employee incentive for vegetation spray license.
I'll second.
So you're motioning to amend it?
To add that to it, to the agenda, under new business. Is it on there?
Yep, it's the number 5.
Oh, it's on there. Thank you, I missed
It's a
that.
cheat sheet.
Where's that number 5 under?
Yeah, this is the one you just gave me.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was already on the agenda. I didn't see it on the agenda. Okay. No, number 5, yes.
So we're discussing that now?
Yeah.
So you do not want to restore public comments to the beginning. You do not want to restore trustee comments, even in the preamble. Every member has the opportunity.
No, Mark,
to speak.
I'm talking about number
speaking,
5.
this is my discussion.
I'm talking about number 5. That was my motion. We're not discussing the other 4. We're
That's what I'm
discussing
saying.
number
I'm
5.
saying, so you don't want to include any of those.
Yeah, we already discussed that. You already presented that.
Roll call,
I'm
Ms.
getting-
Varian?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to approve the minutes for the March 15th.
You have to make
Point of
a
order.
motion.
I'm sorry.
You need the motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Oh,
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the agenda
As amended.
as amended.
Yes.
Uh,
As amended, yes.
As amended.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to approve the minutes for March 15, 2022, March 29, 2022 meetings as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, there's some omissions on March 15th regular meeting. It was omitted the commitment by TPA regarding the development of the corner of Refugee and Etna Parkway of approximately $500,000 towards the $3.5 million cost of Refugee Road project, lowering the overall obligation. I believe that's a significant factor that was discussed in there, and we even passed a motion or a resolution thereafter calling for other properties to do so. So I state that should be included. And then the March 29th special meeting, after the executive session, it's missing various motions made to remove and replace Mr. Carlisle and Mr. Rogers from the Licking County TRC board and the Reynoldsburg TRC board. It is also missing the motions made to appoint alternatives to the both TRC boards, so those should be included.
May I speak, Ms. President?
Yes, you may.
You don't put them in the minutes if they didn't get a second pass.
Right.
That's why they're not in there. They didn't pass.
Okay, thank you.
If you'd like to note it with the notes that it didn't pass, I'd be more than happy to have that in there. But my understanding is that if the motion does not pass, it does not reflect in the minutes because
Right.
it died.
Right, right. Thank you. Roll call? Wait,
On the ones for the March meeting, I need to go back and listen to what he's talking about, so you're not going to be able to approve it.
okay. So,
So where we at? We got a motion and a second on these, and then you made adjustments correctly, Mark? That you want stated on this?
I made suggestions for corrections.
During discussion. So we don't want to approve the March 15th, is it? that what you're saying? Because they need additional things added to it?
I would say both, but to properly reflect the meeting.
So you'll update those notes for us, Ms. Brown?
Normally, it's policy per Robert's Rules of Order. If the motion dies, it does not reflect the minutes. That's why they're not in
Right.
there. I was just now made aware of the other issues he had tonight, so I don't have time to go back and listen to that tape tonight. In the future, if you let me know ahead of time, I can go back and listen to it and have the minutes ready for the evening when you guys approve them.
Okay, that's fair.
But if you want to get an opinion on it, I don't believe the other ones should be added to those minutes because the motion's died.
So is the,
For tonight, I just suggest you skip the minutes and we'll deal with them and bring them back to the meeting in June.
withdraw my motion, withdraw my second.
Moving on to old business.
Before you move, if Mr. Evans would type up what he'd like to see in the minutes, I can add it for next time, for the one on the TPA.
Are you willing to do that, Mr. Evans?
On the TPA, I
Yes.
believe she can listen to that with the recording and get that if you want. I mean, I could provide it also. I've got
If
it
you would
here.
work with me, I'd be more than happy to fix the minutes the way you'd like, but
Okay, well, I've got it right here. I can just
if you would
give it
work
to you.
with me, then I'll go back and verify it on the tape.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll move on to old business. High Point Park over here, there's a gazebo. There was a Fred G. Bragg Memorial that presented a few months back, and they have their memorial ready to go. You got your packets there. And we, Bob and I, took a walk over in the park last week, just to kind of get an idea of where we wanted that to go, and just wanted to get some ideas from the rest of the board. We're looking at near the gazebo, because most people show up at that park over there, always tends to move towards the gazebo or visit the gazebo, and that would get a lot of exposure for that memorial. So I thought that would be a good place for it. I'm hoping for, see what everybody else thinks about that. But I did talk to Mr. Bragg, he's in Florida, and he's working with the company that is actually going to pour the concrete that this sits on. And he said it would take about 6 weeks for that to happen. So he's excited about that happening. He can't wait till they get it out to the park there, and he wanted to thank the board, everybody, the residents for supporting it.
So are we approving the design tonight?
Yes, remember we looked up the design and we said that we would go with this design.
But he was going to make changes and then it was
Well,
going back to the board
that's
to approve.
That's why we emailed it to you. You should have in your packet there. Yeah, so.
So these are the changes that we're seeing, right?
These are the changes that you're seeing, yes.
Is that what we're voting on now? To approve those change design?
Well, we're not voting on actually to receive the design. We're actually voting on where we want to put it over in the park. We're not voting on, it's just a discussion. That's all, just a discussion. This is going to take another 6 weeks, so we'll have that in the next meeting on June 7th.
To approve the design?
Correct. Correct.
When I spoke to Mr. Bragg, he said you gave him the go-ahead to order the design.
Yeah, he's going to pour the concrete. We went on and told him to go ahead and pour the concrete. The concrete takes about 6 weeks.
He told me, you told him that the design was approved and to order the design. So that's the confusion I'm having.
Well,
Are we going to
so you
approve
have
it
that-
tonight?
We can approve it tonight. I have no problem. I looked over it. Jeff, did you look over it? Okay, did you get to look over it? Mark, we sent it back? Okay.
I
you have
wanted
a
this
problem
on the
with
agenda
design?
last time.
Are you okay with the design? Okay, all right. So we can move forward on that and if you want to. That's not a problem.
My question was telling the person that it's approved before, just so there's not.
Mark, you gave, last time they were here, you told them as a board and we voted that as long as he made the changes to make it smaller, you were okay with that. Okay, it's on record. It's on record. It's proof. So that's why we decided, and it takes 6 weeks for him to get that concrete poured.
So we don't need this approved? then?
No, we don't.
Okay.
No,
I think we already did it.
right, we did.
he was gonna make the changes and that was what we
That was
approved.
going to be the end of it, so it was just a matter of figuring out when we wanted to put it over at the park.
And that wasn't my recollection, that the approved design was going to come back to the board. I'm fine with the approved design. So, I don't know why I wouldn't make it official, do it, but that's fine.
Comprehensive plan, I want to turn the meeting over to Mr. Johnson on the comprehensive plan.
Talking about the work session, you want to do it now?
Yeah, we'll go right into it.
All right. I've asked the trustees to, out of, what was it, 33 names, come up with 8 people that they would want on their list for the comprehensive plan. This is on the applicants. Did you come up with 8 people that you would like to see?
I've got all 33 kind of ranked and sorted. It depends on who's on the committee, but what is the process you propose?
The process I propose is I want, there's 3 up there, Candy Engel from the school, Trent Stepp from the South Pacific Water, and Lori Mail from the fire department.
What about Craig McDonald from Licking Heights? He was appointed by the president before we took it over. I sent you that email.
Yeah, I saw it. So anyways, the point was no more than 11 on there, I figured, when I was looking at it. I didn't want too many on there. Also, what I thought we'd do is if we each pick that, let 8 citizens to be on it. Max. So if you had 8 people that you thought would be good on it, I thought we'd put those 8 names up there for each one of us and see which ones we all agreed on.
Now,
And then we'll work from that.
have you discussed this with our consultant, Jim Leonard?
A little bit. I did the one night he was here, and he says, I don't care how you get the people on people. And he was fine with the number that I gave him.
When I spoke to him, he said 11 to 15, 15 would be better because if you have people fall out, those are kind of the alternates and that. 15 would give each trustee 5 pick, but you should, I mean, Mr. Leonard couldn't be here tonight because he had a prior obligation. He was here last time and was willing to help assist with this because he did say that you want to ensure that you have a good mix of people from different diverse backgrounds, different concerns, like that. I'm concerned that we're not using Mr. Leonard's consulting experience and knowledge in forming this committee.
He suggested the same thing you're saying, except for 11 to 15 was not the number I heard. It was more around the 12 number at max. He did say that we should have a diverse group that we should put up there because I don't care, because it doesn't matter to me who you've got on the list as long as I've got people that I can work with on the list. That's what I told him.
So wouldn't more be better if they're willing to serve 15? 15 is not that much, especially if people fall out.
I was on there last time, there was 13 of us, I believe, and it dragged because there were so many people on there.
So then you guys want to approve each person. You two. You said the board would approve those selected. Right?
Well, we all select,
We're
yes.
all 3 of us.
Should, I would propose, and I move, that each trustee shall appoint, we could go 4 residents from the 35 received applications to the committee to provide equal input towards the committee. Each selection shall be made one at a time, rotating through the trustees for a total of 12 committee members selected. That's what I think. That way it provides equal representation, because the way things have been going, you guys are just going to throw everybody you want on them. I think everybody needs an equal voice, equal choice on this.
Point of order, when there's a motion on the floor, it makes it hard for my minutes if you don't get the second, because then you've got
Okay.
discussion going into the.
There's motion. That's my motion.
Thank you.
So you want to appoint 4 apiece, is that what you said?
You don't have a second, Jeff. If you guys could get a second, because you're just.
You want a second
you've got
to
a motion
discuss?
going
I don't
with a
even want
bunch
to
of
discuss it
discussion.
yet.
Then you
Clear.
have to
Go ahead.
withdraw your motion.
Read it again.
I move that each trustee, I wanted 5, I'll do 4. I move that each trustee shall appoint 5 or 4 residents from the 33 received applications to the committee to provide equal input towards the committee. Each selection shall be made one at a time, rotating through the trustees for a total of 12 members selected. That's right. I get 4, you get 4, you get 4. You don't want to do that.
So now that the motion dies, you can do more discussion. If you announce there's not a second. It just makes your motions hard to decipher between motions and discussion.
Why do you not like my idea that I had?
Well, because it's going to go to majority rule and,
Well, if we all 3 have the same person, that person's automatically out,
but
right?
just like an NFL draft, you pick one after. I've gone through thoroughly all these applications, all these people. I've got them in tiers, and depending on who else is, I may like a couple people, but if one's picked, well, that may be overrepresented if we pick this one, so let's do this. So each trustee can gauge that if they've done their due diligence through this process, but again, it would probably be helpful if we had a consultant paying $61,000 for here.
I thought, well, my thing was, I thought we would discuss from where the people were, so we can pick them all from one neighborhood also.
And
Then
that's,
do a drafting, you can pick them all from one neighborhood, if that's what you want to do.
no, and that's why I created the map to show
I know. Yeah.
where everybody's at.
So if you're doing a draft, we're not competing, we're not making teams to compete on this project, but people
No,
work together on this project.
But ensuring, we obviously have different voices, different objectives on this board, and I think we should be equally represented. And I want to ensure that those people are on here. So 4 people would be on here for me, for you, and for this P, and you can adjust those you pick based on the prior picks. That seems very reasonable and fair, instead of a majority stacking the committee.
Madam President, because he's already made a motion on that particular layout, we need to move to a different motion. He's just rediscussing the same.
He
thing
asked
last
what the
time.
motion was.
Well, it died in a second, so, all right. I still like mine idea there. If we start with, and if we end up with 5, then maybe we need to go back and put a couple more on next week. I mean, I don't know. When you say it's like a draft picking teams, I don't want to pick teams against each other.
It's not against, it's using each trustee's judgment in who should fill this committee, especially since our consultant is not here. What you're proposing is just majority rule, which again, this board differs from the minority.
How do you know? You haven't seen the names up there yet.
Why wouldn't,
I'm just asking. We might have common people in there.
and then if I pick who you wanted on there, then you pick a person that you think would complement the committee on there. What you want to do is throw them up on the board and basically the majority decide all the members and excluding the ones that you don't like. There's going to be probably some that you guys like that I don't feel are appropriate for their actions towards residents, intimidation, all kinds of reasons, but that's your right if you want them present on the board. What I'm saying is this board, we say this board is equal. In public, in private, I'm told we're not equal. So we should show at least that we're equal in public. And that's where I say 4 or 5 picks each and get it done properly. Because I've gone through all the applications. I know most every one of these people.
Yep. So you don't have, you're telling me you didn't make a list of 8 people, that's what you're saying? Is that correct?
I have my top 5, top 10, top 15, bottom 5, bottom 10.
That's what I did. I did ladies based on different things, and then I had my 8 put up there in no order. So,
But why 8? Why not just select 4 each? And
well, I mean, you could always hope for the best that you would put your 8, I put my 8, and Ms. McKee put her 8, and they were all the same 8.
how are we going to choose out of the 24?
No, maybe that's what I'm saying, maybe there's 23. I mean, maybe there's not, maybe there's 3 that have, we have the same 3.
If you put him up there, you don't have to pick him right now. Why don't you just see how it falls out? Just try it. He's ready to write him. Start working with you. Just try it and see what happens. You might be surprised who you end up with up there.
Well,
That's what I had
That's
proposed,
exactly
that
we can do that.
meeting of executive session, and that we're supposed to pick on the 11th or the 3rd.
We can do this next executive session. That's something you want to do, I don't know.
I mean, you're going to discuss pros and cons of residents serving on this board in open meetings.
Well, it's like having an interview, so you don't do the interviews for the over applications and go in executive session and discuss them individually. That's fair. That's fair.
Why wasn't there an executive session on the agenda? It doesn't seem like
We
this is
just
well thought.
decided to do, this is a discussion right now. That's why. That's exactly why. So we can,
Do you want me to give you my top picks?
you're more than welcome.
All right. Judy Kapmeyer. Well, it really depends on what, I mean, I'll Judy Kapmeyer.
All right,
So,
then you give one, then I'll give one. How's
You
that?
pick one, yeah. Yep.
All right. I'll get that. Phil Black.
I'm kind of looking at them as locations, so other things, but
And that's, IPACS is the,
Good.
well, hold on then.
Is she on here? There she is.
And who is it?
So Jeff, are you changing that for him? You don't want to know if those were choices on all 3 of you, like you originally
Nope.
wanted to do it?
Wait, well, we're supposed
Well,
to do it.
Shelley was one of mine before, so now I can
Originally,
pick.
Well-
she had it set
well,
up,
Shelley-
Ryan was going to mark
see,
if
there's
that
another
person
one.
was
No,
on all
She was
3.
one of mine too.
Well,
So is Shelley all 3 of yours?
Yeah.
So then he was going to put initials by Shelley to show that you all 3 agreed on that. So that
we
was
should all
all.
have to agree.
But it
Well, I'm
makes
saying.
it easier because there's one now down. It's done. You all agreed on it. So that's 3 by. You just want her moved down here, Jeff? If all
Yep.
3 of you agree on her?
Yes.
Did you guys all 3 agree on Bill Black?
I,
Is that what your mark or not?
I've got various, and it depends on where the other ones are.
Okay.
So basically, the way Jeff had organized this with us, with the staff, was that if you all three agreed, once the name was up here, it went down here, so you knew, now you have these four already appointed. They're done, you don't have to discussion it.
Right, that's what.
If you don't have all three agreed on it, it stays up there for discussion later.
Okay, I'll give you one we can all agree on. Gary Burkholder. Gary Burkholder.
Not on my list. That should be okay.
And this is what I mean about
Well, that's
equal
all right.
representation.
That's all right. Putting on there.
Fred Harvey.
So when you say a name to make it in here for Ryan, if you all three agreed on it, let him know, and he'll pull it down here, and then that one's fit. That spot's filled.
Great.
You're not providing a different name.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
But you can put Fred Harvey,
Yeah,
because he's on your list.
Yeah, that's how we had it. Exactly.
Thinking of each of us to,
You can put one on, put on yours too. No, it should go on yours, Rob. It should go on yours. It should all go on ours too.
Numbers, I think.
Because
Shelley
it'll show
should
on
go on
both
ours.
of your lists, because you both picked
Right.
Fred Hart.
can we just play Plinko or something?
Yeah. Shelley should go on mine and Rosalind. Yeah. Shelley should go on Mark's and mine, I'm sorry, yes.
Well, no, you're already selected her, so I'll select somebody else.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So now it's,
So now it's me. Jason Robinson.
see if I have any shows. Rick Cox.
Jeffrey Hall.
Roger Ho.
Ashley King.
Ryan Davis.
Steve Perkins.
Jackie Katz.
Could you put that, could you speak loud so we can
I'm
hear?
sorry. Jackie Katz. K-A-T-Z.
I'm good.
Want to have the other ones? You want to put another?
I still say we should do 15 and do 5 and
What's that?
if we do 5 each, it's an odd number, 15.
Right.
I have a couple others here. I thought would be good on there.
We have a repeat of Rick Cox, we have a repeat of Fred Harvey. So if you do 5 each, then if you do each have one more.
Bill Black.
Put their name up there.
Well, he was already up there, so now you just got another.
Right, that's all
Oh,
right.
you already up there? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
The reason you guys are doing that is because you guys want to
So-
see if the same people
Well,
are.
so now you know where ours are.
So you gotta show if you
Well,
want the
right,
same
and I'm
person
seeing-
as they want,
seeing for
you
the-
want it on the list.
Right.
You got Perkins down here, you got Cats right next to Perkins, but
So then what you guys, what Jeff said is if you've got people on the same list and that person means the majority of you want it, it would move over here.
Well, get all three of us, yes.
That's
for
what you
sure.
had said.
So you,
but their minority rights just go out the window because as the
Or it wasn't
trustee,
me that wanted the rules.
pardon me please. Well, I know the trustees want these rules, but that's where minority rights come into play, that
why?
my voice shouldn't be outvoted by the other two trustees. These are people that I've researched, I feel comfortable, I've looked at these as, I mean, were you taking into consideration the distribution, their backgrounds as they were being, you were, like I said, I'm fine with my 5, if you guys
Yeah, but
pick your 5, let's then be
that, I
done.
don't like that idea. I really don't.
What, that we each have equal say as to the composition
Five
of
and
the
five,
committee?
but it's 15, now you get 18 people.
Okay, 4 people,
You still got a ton of people on there.
12. 111 is,
Three times, that's 12, plus the other 3, that's 15.
those are non-voting. Those are non-official members, as we agreed to prior. They do not have a vote, so they won't be voting for anything. They're just there.
They're still in discussion.
Add it, and they're not going to be there probably all the time from what they,
What, do you want to put somebody else up there on the board or not?
no, I've got, those are the ones that I
I'll
feel
put
are
Brian
service
Hurd.
committee.
Brian Hurd.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
You already did.
Brian Hurd,
You already did.
So,
did we?
Yeah.
I did?
I don't think so.
Oh, did you put Brian up there?
No. Brian Hurd is not up there.
Who's on first?
I had Johnson.
No, they were, I know it's confusing.
All right. You have another one, Rosa?
Are you guys just trying to get enough to fill the whole committee from
No.
your picks?
No, I asked you for 8, so I'm putting up the 8.
Why do we need 8?
Explained that to you earlier. I said if all of us agreed on all 8, we'd have the thing going every 8 people. But obviously you're not agreeing on that. So let's see that. Let's get rid of this one on mine. The other thing you could have done is rank them 1 to 33 and then just go down.
Well, those are my top 5. Again, for equal representation, if the board, again, in private says we're not equal, but in public claims we're equal, why would you want to minimize my voice, my representation, my thoughts on this committee? Why can't we each just have 4 or 5 picks? Thoughtfully pick and do this instead of you guys wanting to have final say on every.
Alicia Zachary.
Okay. Stanley, and I believe it's pronounced Nutter.
Do you want my other picks?
Sure.
I don't think we should consider them. I think we got those, my 5, but if you want my opinion on other qualified people, Sarah Ferguson.
That's fine.
Although we have 3 people now from. Can you put a line under Ryan Davis to separate those? Yes. And Abdul Amar. AJ Amar. AJ Amar. I just learned that.
Holly Carr, C-A-R-E.
What was your first name?
That's
Holly Carr, first name Holly.
So you have representation, okay, so now I have representation from across the township on yours, right? I have from on mine. I believe you did too, Roslyn, right?
varying backgrounds.
And background? Yes.
Some business owners, some with experience with comp plans. Some with large lots, some with small, some with subdivisions, some with multiple acres.
Well.
Yeah,
Well,
Said
no,
all 3 of them.
Doesn't matter.
just erase out the laws, just take it
That
off.
shows that you had your age.
Yeah, but that's all right, we're just taking that off.
well, but they,
You agree, Charlotte, should be on there, right?
well, we're listing 24 of the 33 applicants. I mean, it's,
We got 24 of them?
well, no, there's some repeats. Right. But again, you guys want to do majority rules, which silence more. If you want to do cancel culture, continue to push to the side. That's what you're going to do, but we should have equal representation. I mean, this is what I ran on for 2.5 years. The comprehensive plan of this. I think I kind of know the people that should be on there. And those, the top 5 I would put on. There's 18 individuals up there.
Well,
I still understand. 5 each, equal representation, equal input.
so who's Shelley's on then? Is she one of yours?
You picked her right away.
I know.
The top 5, the top 5 is who I would like to see on there because you guys have Shelley on there. And there's Judy Katzmeyer was my #1 pick, and she's from Baldwin, so I would have chosen Shelley as another of mine because from Baldwin. You understand?
So you didn't choose
Shelley's in
Shelley?
Royal Acres.
I chose Judy. And you mentioned Shelley, and I just mentioned, hey, that was one of those that I think would be good on the committee.
Oh, okay, I think you were.
But choosing Judy Katzmeyer, who I think she was interested in the prior one and would be a valuable asset. And that's why Shelley wasn't one of mine, because again, I was going through and showing the
I
distribution.
thought you agreed with Shelley. I'm sorry, I thought, I was understanding that you thought Shelley should be on there.
Yes.
Well, this did not turn out how I thought at all. That would be a little more
I mean-
cooperation over here.
I mean, honestly, what's wrong with each 5 having, each trustee have representation without the other trustees? Because you, I think you,
That's 15 people.
okay, 4 people,
I think
which
3.
is 12.
I think 3 at the most.
Is there 9?
Yes.
our consultant said 11 to 15 residents. You're not counting the ones that aren't voted. So now you're going against Jim Leonard's recommendation. I've got it in the email, 11 to 15 residents, not in total with Candy, Trent. Because those are ex officio, they don't vote, they're not going to be there, they're not required to be there all the time. They're to give their inputs from their organizations. And this is what Mr. Leonard and I went through extensively in our meeting.
Okay, but, so Candy wouldn't vote, even though she's a resident, she wouldn't vote? So-
She's not, those are ex officio. This is what we agreed to,
All right.
that there would be those residents, and then you didn't want the Licking Heights member on there, however, we finally agreed to
I
that.
can call him and have him come to a meeting and do that. It's good to have that.
They've already appointed Craig McDonald, who was the former reporter, I think you're familiar with him. I forwarded you the emails. They were planning on attending a first meeting that was set for last week, but that was changed, so I emailed all of them. But again, Jim Leonard, we had an extensive meeting, and he suggested 11 to 15. After talking, he said 15 because then you don't have to worry about alternates, people dropping out. This is going to go on for 6 months, so things could change for someone, and so if they drop out, you still have a large enough group, and that's why he suggested 15.
Madam President, whenever appropriate.
Yes.
A recommendation from your management consultant would be this evening, begin making motions and fill a committee, or table the item and deal with it in executive session June 7th.
But then we're supposed to have our first meeting June 11th, and people wouldn't know. I mean, all this was decided on before that the first meeting was supposed to be the 11th, the selections on the 3rd. That's changed. Now we want to change it again. So I do recall seeing an email that the first meeting was June 11th.
And Madam, we are going by Robert's rules, so it is preferable for the president to recognize folks before comment, just to keep it orderly.
I believe she turned it over to Mr. Johnson.
I'm finished. Yes.
I'm going to executive session next meeting. You want to set it up for then? And discuss the executive session. Our other meeting will still be, our first meeting will still be that at that time.
Can I be recognized?
Yes.
What is the purpose of the executive session? Because we cannot actually choose members in executive session. We have to choose, don't we have to vote out in public session? Executives for discussion, so we're discussing now.
Discussing it now, so, yeah.
Why are we're delaying for delay's sake?
And Madam President,
Yes.
if executive session is not to the pleasure of this Board of Trustees, once again, you can begin making motions and fill this committee and move forward.
I'll make a recommendation that we move forward on selection tonight.
All right. So how we pick what we got on the board?
Like what Trustee Mark said, that Jim,
Sorry, I can't have all that discussion with the motion. You need to withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my
When you make
motion.
the motion, it makes it hard to do the minutes when you're talking.
I'm sorry. I will withdraw the motion, and I think we should discuss it. So, if we decide to select the recommendation that Mr. Leonard recommended us, about 11, I think we should stick.
He said 15, I can show you.
Yeah, I saw it, I mean 11 to 15, but I'm just saying, if we do 11, he can make the recommendation, but we can go by what we want. Right? So if we do 11, if we do 15, we should do that tonight. Make the selection of those tonight.
Again, after a lengthy meeting with him, it was determined 15 would be best in this situation. It's not what I chose, it's what he's our consultant. Again, he's the expert.
Right.
He's dealt with this.
He's the one that told me that. He's also said that you can move forward faster and less also.
Madam President,
Yes.
maybe start with a motion on the number for the committee, and then a motion to appoint, individual members to the committee one by one if you want to move forward this evening. And once again, the alternative is to have an executive session June 7th.
And I would just state that we should just, whatever number we chose, if we do 12, each trustee picks 4.
We can always add later if we need to. So I make a motion to,
But can I interject real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
The issue with adding later is they're going to miss out on the early parts. And as Mr. Leonard said, that first meeting is crucial in laying the foundation. So I think it's better to have more and not use them. You do more. That's my thoughts. And Mr. Leonard.
so I make a motion to appoint 15 tonight to the comp plan board.
That you're setting the numbers at 15.
15.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
So you appoint 15, how are we going to get 15 out of that? Maybe 5 each like he's suggesting? And if they end up all in one neighborhood for a lot of them, so there is what you're going.
Say that again, Jim.
We have, the idea of the map that Mark put together here was that they were in various areas around the township. So,
The ones you guys chose, the ones I mean, they are spread out.
yours are?
And yours, I've been working down
Yeah,
whose you are, and they're spread out.
yeah.
Some neighborhoods are more represented, but I don't think that's harmful because the people in those neighborhoods have diverse backgrounds, diverse experiences that they're bringing forward.
Roll call.
I believe your motion right now is just on the 15, not on the
Right. Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes,
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Well, so some of them, the top 5, yours, Mark. We didn't pick any of those. Some of ours picked each other's.
okay.
So,
So you're saying you need approval over mine?
no, I'm just saying that one of us has to, like, take Bill Black, who started up there. He's on ours, so he should definitely be on there as one of ours, but which one of ours?
That's okay. Again, you guys just pick whatever 5, round robin.
take your 5. Okay.
Just pick your 5, and it's just like the NFL draft pick. If someone's receiver gets picked, well, then you pick somebody else.
So the ones that are repeated, just do the numbers next to them. That way we can have it for 6, whatever you want to up here.
Like, if I could suggest, like, you guys both have Fred Harvey and Rick Cox. So erase Fred Harvey from one side, Rick Cox from the other, and then you get a pick.
Yeah, but then you gotta add Shelley to one of them.
And then you got Ed Shelley.
You gotta add Shelley back.
But Shelley was originally Jeff's, I think.
No, I didn't.
Or was it
That was
Roslyn?
Roslyn's.
And put Shelley on Roslyn.
Yeah.
Was he paid by?
Oh, you're adding Fred Harvey back?
He's on John.
Well, this, because
All right,
you don't want repeats and you just,
all right. I'll take it.
Okay,
Here's
take
what I
off Red
did.
Harvey off McKee and take off
We'll just go
Rick
through.
Cox off Johnson.
So
exactly.
Judy Katzmar's first on yours, so she's on there. Bill Black's mine, he's on there. Shelley's on Roslyn, she's on there. Gary's on yours, he's on there.
So it said if you want Fred Harvey, then
Bill
he
Black.
doesn't need.
Bill Black is on mine, so he's on there, so take. Yeah, see that way it goes.
It's gonna be a basketball game, and we're on teams, or?
Well, there's three of them are the same on, so.
Let's just say you pick Fred Harvey, so McKee, erase Fred Harvey, put somebody,
Why don't you just start like this? Evans, which of the five you want on here? Right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those
yes.
yours?
Yep.
Jeff, which of the five do you want on here? Pick your
Well,
five.
depends on Roslyn.
Don't worry about
other
what's on
people.
Roslyn's list. You pick your five.
What if somebody that we both pick?
It doesn't, we're gonna be here all night.
All right.
We're gonna be here all night. Pick your five.
Depends where they're from.
Do you want the big map?
Whatever you pick, she's gonna erase off McKee.
If you pick Harvey or Cox, that should be erased on
Okay,
that.
so you got, yeah, one of them just, because Shelley was on yours,
You may erase.
so we'll just take. There you go.
It's in the same order. You guys were going across like this.
Yep.
There you
Okay?
go.
So you're in the same order.
Right.
All right, these five are on for Evans. These five are on for you. These five are on for her, and you're done.
Yep.
You
Yay.
said that. The bill comes off of here, and Alicia goes there. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's your list.
That's what I said.
45, I'd rather,
Trustee.
25 minutes.
Now you just make a motion to approve the top 5 on each one on the board, and I'll take a picture of it and write it down later.
Just have to fill out the map.
Okay, I make a motion to select the top 5 on each of Evans, Mr. Evans, Mr. Johnson, and Ms. McKee.
Second, or change your mind.
Yeah,
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to clarify mine is Judy Kappmeyer, Gary Burkholder, Jason Robinson, Jeff Hall, and Ryan Davis.
I'm making sure we got representation around it still.
And then Johnson's got Bill Black, Fred Harvey, Roger Hubble, Steve Perkins, and Brian Hurd. McKee's got Shelley Marie Ipax, Rick Cox, Ashley King, who's that, Jacob?
Jackie Katz.
Jackie Katz, and Alicia Zacher. 2, 2, 2. 1.
Well, you are pretty well scattered out here. That's how you do it.
You actually, we're pretty well scattered.
That's why when we're going through it,
Even yours, what they want to find us.
that's why I chose mine.
So roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Decision call.
I'm going to. I will notify you.
a motion to approve resolution 2205-1701 to authorize elected official Rosalind McKee join the coalition of large Ohio urban townships, call it CLOUT, as presented. Is there a second?
That's what is one minute?
I move to approve the resolution. Well,
Yeah, what number is it?
2205-1701.
Second.
Discussion.
I do have a question. Why are we having you join and not the township? The document seems a little ambiguous because you're not actually joining, is it?
Yes, I am. I was selected at the, Ohio Karma Convention. I was selected there. Yeah, at the coalition to be on the board.
But wouldn't we join this and then appoint you?
No, they appointed me. Okay? Otarma appointed me at the convention in February.
Okay.
So that's, oh, I'm sorry, Madam President.
Yes,
So that's the motion, to potentially support it with a second or not support it.
I understand how that works. This is the discussion part, so that's why we're talking about it.
We're giving it, I guess we're giving Etna's giving her blessing to be on that. We're
correct.
supporting her appointment.
Well, that's what I would think would be, we're joining it and then appointing her. And what is the purpose? And what is the purpose of this, Mrs. McKee?
Okay, I went to a meeting and I can just explain it to you. All the townships are a part of this, but you have to have a particular amount of budget and also so many residents of your township. So the smaller townships are not involved. CLOUT is a coalition for large Ohio urban townships. A lot of things are discussed, some legal things that are being discussed, things that are trends that are going on around Ohio. Things are going on around Ohio in some of the townships. A lot of things are discussed, and that's what the board consists of, all professionals that are actually trustees from other townships.
So we're want to become a more large urban township?
That has nothing to do with large urban township, nothing. It's not saying that we're becoming a large urban township. That's not what this is. This is just gives you it's a board that meets monthly, that discusses things that's going on from each township around Ohio.
From the large urban township?
Well, we're considered a large urban township, believe it or not, because of our size, because you have to have so many residents.
Or budget? I don't think we're at.
It's the budget, as I mentioned before. It's the budget, it's also the resident size. Those two matter. And it's actually says that here on the resolution.
Right, I don't think we need the residents.
Yes, we do, Mark. I'm sorry, Mr. Adams, we do. Because they have to vet us in order for that to happen.
Okay, it's either or, just for clarification.
Yeah,
trying to
I'm glad
understand.
you, yes.
Because
I'm glad
I
you
just got this
clarified.
last night, so
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of any of this.
So it says the board, it says on the resolution, the board desires to participate as members of CLOUT. All right?
And then it says that therefore, the Board of Trustees of Etna Township, Licking County hereby authorize Etna Township to become a member of the CLOUT as part of the Ohio Township Association and pay the annual membership.
And that's my question is, we are becoming members, Rosalind is not.
I'm the
Mr. McKee.
representative. Yeah. Well, we're already a member of Otarma. We are. You know that, right? This is just a board within Otarma. So,
Correct, but-
and then I will be that person that will represent the township in CLOUT.
But for my clarification, like I said, I just got this yesterday and have not been able to look into it, but you're saying that we're voting to become members, but they appointed you.
Correct. Correct.
To
They appointed
represent
me
us.
to represent the town. That's correct. They
That doesn't
appointed-
seem right.
Mark,
That may be the
explained to you,
process, but that doesn't-
I got appointed from the convention under Otarma that we attended down at the Commons Convention Center, the 4-day convention that we went to. I was appointed to represent Etna, okay, for CLOUT. We are already members of OTARMA, Ohio Township Association. Within that, there's a board called CLOUT, and they select, is it 8 of us, 8 to 10, from across Ohio that represents their township, and I happen to be selected for Etna. So there is a fee.
So what you're saying is not every member has a member on their board?
Correct. It's only so many. It's not every township in Ohio.
That's
Yes.
a little more clarification.
Yes, it's right, correct.
But, okay. So when they appointed you, we were members of it, yeah?
No, we weren't.
Okay. That seems backwards, but.
Well, you can give me a call and let us know that it's backwards. Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Purchasing, under this work session, I'm going to continue with the work session under purchasing policy update. The Etna Township Trustees received a draft by email of a purchasing policy, as well as the employee job descriptions, as well as the cell phone policy, as well as the workplace harassment policy. Were you guys able to look over it?
I was not, because I got this, I think at 6:30 last night.
That's fine, and that's fine, and I'm glad you said that, because I can let you know that, I just got it to you, we just got it to you guys last night for a reason. Next week, next meeting, which is June 7th, we will be discussing it. So I just want to make sure you got it. So this is a part of the work session. So did you get yours, Jeff?
Yes.
There's several of them, four policies that I emailed last night.
Okay. Are we taking, I'm sorry, are you taking each one separately, or are you going to go back and put in mark one for the employee?
I'm sorry?
Mark,
You skipped the employee incentive for vegetation and new business that we added.
No, we had that.
Where you put that on the end, that was added to new business.
Okay, so I need to add that on there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was just before we just did, so I just want to go to
That's
that.
fine.
Madam President,
Yes.
when appropriate.
Just give me a second. Add that on there.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we'll add the new business employees incentive for vegetation spray license achievement. Want to add that under that work session. So. Yes, Mr. Vance?
Would you like to finish that item under new business?
That would be wonderful, thank
Okay.
you.
Let's do it now. Is that what you're saying? Let's do it right now?
I'd recommend it. That would keep it in order.
Right.
Right, that's fine.
So,
Does Trustee Evans, do you have anybody to present that item?
What, does the chair have to recognize me for this? I will present it,
Okay, I was just asking a question. Thank you very much.
but wait for the chair to.
Okay, just want to add that. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As you know, part of the duties of the road crew is mowing, and a lot of that is weed whacking, taking care of various areas. Previously, we had an employee that had left that had a spray license, because you do have to be licensed to spray herbicides, pesticides. In the state, the previous group of employees we had all tried to get it. That employee that was successful, he got it a second time. It was a difficult test. It takes a while to study, and there are some courses that you can take that assist with that. We do not have anybody currently right now with a spray license, and I think that's imperative, because I think we could be more efficient with one. And Bubba Don Coakley can add to it when I'm done here. But so I would like to incentivize one or two employees to pursue this, to gain it for our benefit, because if one employee has it, or even if one trustee had it, the others can go on to their license and use that. So I would propose providing a bonus to either one or up to 2 employees that achieve that license to spray the pesticide, herbicide for the township upon completion of their certificate, up to an amount of $350.
So you said $350. $350. So is there an opportunity for, you said for 2 employees?
Yeah, we don't need everybody, but it is a difficult test, and if we can get 2 to attempt to take it, and if both pass it, great, because of, things change, one may move on. And at minimum, maybe one will pass, because again, last time, only 1 passed on a second attempt. It is a difficult test from what I'm told. So I would like to see if 2 of the road crew would be interested in that, and I believe they would be. And Mr. Copley indicated that it does take several weeks, a month of studying for this.
So you said the bonus would be anywhere from
I'd say 350.
$350. And what's the cost of the test?
The tests are $7,500, somewhere around there, but that's separate. Then we can do that through our authorized spending. This is just for the compensation, additional compensation. This, and I've checked. I knew it was proper, but I verified with our prosecutor, Mark, said it is permissible with approval of the board to designate bonuses in this regard.
So it's $75 and $100, which we will be responsible for that fee.
Well, the township.
Right, exactly. And then the,
How many times are you able to take the test?
Well, I don't think that would be more with the department and that. This is just for the incentive.
right.
Would it be open?
So if they don't pass, there's no.
What if all 5 of them go take it and all 5 pass?
Well, we do 2. And then if those 2
How would you
pass
decide?
it, then
How would you decide which 2 got to go?
Bubba,
Huh?
Mr. Copley,
I can just ask the 2 guys, just ask,
as the guys see their interest, there might be just 1 or 2.
How many you have, Bob? Or do you think that's interested in it?
there's 5 of us all together.
Right.
I don't think we all want to take it.
I think what you do I can give them all a fair shot at it. If all 5 pass, they all get the bonus. That's what I do. I put a time limit on it though. Like in the next 6 months or whatever. 5 months or 4 months. That's how I would look at it, but that's
I mean, if you want to do, I don't think we have a need for all 5. I don't think Bubba wants to take this. I think we're down to 4.
If it's not worth $350 to him, then don't take it. I mean, that's,
Well,
I might have somebody study all that time and take the test when everybody else is taking it, and, it's only 2 of you get it, 4 of you pass.
But as Boardman said, we don't need everybody to take it. Now, if you want to look at it as they're more knowledgeable about all the herbicides, pesticides, just as employees, while the others are spraying, that's fine. But I was just trying to be judicious with the township funds of limited to 1 or 2 people. But if you want to approve for all 4, if they do want to do it, I'm fine with that. More knowledgeable employees, the better.
Yeah, I think if they all
And it'd be
pass,
another
I would put a time limit on, I think, that if somebody wants in order to get it. Does that make sense? Wouldn't just leave it open out there.
Well, it depends if they pass it or not. So, like I said, last time it took a couple times and they studied and the trustee, you could take the test and they could do it on your license. So it's an intense test from what I've been told. So I'm fine if you want to open it up to 4. I mean, you could say 5.
Tell me,
I
I'll
think,
take it.
well, all right, so,
And I was doing this as a bonus, so if they want to study off hours or off, you know,
Right.
if they want to do it.
Madam President, whenever appropriate, just for a point of potential interest.
Yes.
Trustee Evans said time was of the essence to get somebody certified. So a recommendation to consider would be to see who is interested in getting certified, get them certified. And there is an item of policy nature, which would be a potential bonus. So you have time to come back and discuss that, say at the next meeting, the next work session. But we could move forward with the actual certification.
Yes.
But I don't think the certification is the part that we need. Again, I don't think they're not going to move forward unless there's a bonus. Why are you going to put all that effort in there? So I think we've got to prove a bonus for it.
Right. So we're looking to make a motion to approve the bonus, but if we're going to make sure all employees have the opportunity for that too. I mean, that's a discussion. I
And
mean,
then we'll just open it up to all for employees that are eligible for this
that would be a
bonus.
discussion.
how many months?
Within by the end of the year.
Yeah.
End of the year, you think?
End of the year.
So that's what?
Or do you want to put a time limit on it that if they're not interested now? Over the winter, they can study and, I mean,
Maybe offer something else at that
why
point.
put a time limit on the book if you think it's that
Because I want it to end somewhere that, sometime that it's just not hanging out there and all of a sudden 2 years down the road, they go, hey, I got my license, put my notice.
Then you give them the bonus. What's the problem with that?
Well, but if you already have 4 guys and John, I see what you're saying, I was trying to put a limit on it, time-wise, to make it of the essence to get it done now.
I think just the bonus.
So let's I make a motion to do the bonus of $350 for the employee incentive vegetation spray license achievement
Within the room crew.
within the road crew.
And it's just ongoing out there.
No, I think we should have a time limit on it, for
Okay.
sure. Yes, so this is, we're at 2022, by the end of 2023. So that will give them a year.
Is that your motion?
That is my motion.
I'll second.
Right, so this is a year and 7 months.
Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Moving on to Etna Development Agreement Spreadsheet. I'm working with Mr. Van.
We've got the work session items on 6. We were going through those before the addition of the amended agenda item. And it was basically just a summary, Madam President, if you'd like me to go through it briefly. And, so staff, on the last trustees agenda, we had some policy proposals. We put together draft proposals. We directed them to the trustees yesterday. Once again, you just received them, that is correct. But we wanted to provide the actual draft document and provide the individual trustees time to review the document, put forward or coordinate any recommendations to put forward at a future time. I understand June 7th was proposed, but for consideration purposes on this agenda, you also have the option to direct these items to the June work session agenda if you would like to discuss them in greater detail before you put together a final draft for final consideration at a trustee meeting. And those are items A, B, C, and D. Purchasing policy, the personnel job descriptions, a draft cell phone policy, and a workplace harassment policy.
I do have a question. The purchasing policy in these, did our consultant draft these or?
No, I did not write the policies per se. I got them from a local government. I got this one from a local government. And it's just, it provides a foundation. It's a boilerplate, and it can be added to, it can be deleted from.
I just noticed it references city and.
Yeah, but we like we
Correct.
did before with some of our other things that we worked on.
So as
Yeah, so that's
it was just
some discussion, yes, correct. And the development agreement spreadsheet, I am working along with Mr. Vance and also, which is our consultant, management consultant, along with Attorney Peter Griggs. What we're doing right now, we're trying to put together a summary to identify all of our agreements that are out there. In the future, you'll have it out on the internet so you can watch and look at them as they go along. Ones in particular that I'm referring to are the existing Etna Township development agreements, the annual shared revenue data for the Etna Township agreement, also the annual expenditure data for each for the Etna Township development agreements, existing debt obligations for information for the Etna Township agreement, also the infrastructure improvement associated with Etna Township agreement. We'll have a spreadsheet out there so you can see every day as you look on the, our Facebook, our website of what's going on, so you can see which trustees working on it and how things are moving along. And it'll be updated. So do you have something you want to speak on that, Mr. Vance? Just give them.
I am the new arrival in Etna, and Etna has a very healthy local economy. It's built upon a lot of individual development agreements. Some could consider these agreements to be complex if you're not knowledgeable associated with the ins and outs of how they were put together and what their purpose is. So I made a proposal to the Board of Trustees president that we put together summaries associated with the identification of annual revenues, annual expenditures, debt obligations, related infrastructure projects, to educate myself as your consultant, to educate any trustees who do not have that information available or have the experience associated with the creation of those agreements, or any member of the public who would like to learn more about how their local government in Etna Township works. And it's just a proposal, and I understand the president is moving forward with efforts to better her understanding.
Yes. So it will be available for the residents so we can see what's going on a daily basis. We want to be transparent, and we want people to know and have the knowledge of what's going on here in Etna.
Now, I did have one question on that. You said that you directed him to do that. I know prior when he was hired, it was the board is supposed to direct his activity. Are we not doing that anymore?
I've been here, Mark, all week working on this. So
That's what I'm saying, the board,
Yeah, but-
can I direct him to do certain activities, or is it,
Mark, we want to be transparent. This is
it's just a simple question?
Right, I understand, but it's actually giving the residents eyes to, they can actually watch what's going on. So there's a lot of things that's going on in Etna that most of us don't even know that's going on.
That I
Okay,
understand
so
that
this will give the opportunity for the residents to see this, so they'll know exactly what's going on.
That I understand that was my question. My question was about directing him, not outside the board. Can I direct him as a trustee?
Absolutely, we hired him. He reports to the three of us.
Well,
We're all
he is
board
still
members.
not talking, meeting with me, anything. And my question is, it seems to all come from you. I think this should be a board.
Are you
decision.
available, Mark? I come over here and make myself available. During the day, yeah. Yeah, come over, because I'm learning as well.
I'm
learning.
speaking about
Correct.
having Mr. Vance do things. I
Well,
don't think it has anything to do with coming here.
You want to speak up, Mr. Vance?
If it's appropriate, Madam President. I take direction from the Board of Trustees. Individual trustees can have projects, and I can be available to assist with those projects if they involve the Board of Trustees and information that will benefit the Board of Trustees. It's my understanding, Trustee Evans, that a firm that specializes in legal development issues, agreements was brought on prior to my arrival in Etna. And Peter Griggs, the attorney with this firm, is available to individual trustees to help them answer any questions they might have associated with policies and development agreements.
That is incorrect in our resolution. The appointment person that must contact Peter Griggs is the board president. So unless we want to change that, I don't think that's the case. But my question is, you state that,
Well, let's,
no, please, that you state that you work individually for each trustee, but then you
No,
will not
work with
even
the board.
meet or discuss with me, so I believe that needs to change, because there are things that we need to do for this township, and it shouldn't just be a personality issue that you use, or just go to one trustee. That's my point.
okay, well, it's absolutely not just a personality issue. And I take direction from the Board of Trustees. And I will continue to take direction from the Board of Trustees as my contract calls for. These items are related to making additional available associated with the many complex development agreements that Etna currently has in place, and generate that information and make it available to the Board of Trustees and the public as well. And so that's an effort, I think, that is definitely of value to Etna Township and everybody that supports Etna Township and its success. So I'm going to continue to work with the president in that regard.
Okay, Township Security, as well as, you want to speak on that, Mr. Vance? Township?
Well, this is a discussion item. We are in a work session. It is recognized that we do not have any security cameras within the Township Hall. We do not have any security cameras outside the Township Hall. And, obviously the Board of Trustees can discuss that in greater detail at this meeting. You can provide whatever direction you might want to Township staff to put together some options and bring them back for discussion at a June work session if you would like. But this is just an item of interest, and we await your direction if any is provided.
Is this item open for discussion?
This is a work session.
All right, as I said before, we needed security at the town hall, cameras, especially inside. I know some people didn't want them inside, but I think with running the hall, we definitely need it. I would also like to see, maybe you can tie this into streaming of meetings, if you could use the same camera for streaming as security. So I think that may be something the IT person can do, because I still think the township should stream all the meetings, and you might be able to integrate it into this system. I also think we need upgrades, as I discussed before, at the township garage for security. Some cameras, some other security items, so I think that should be wrapped in a total for our security contractor to review at once. I know we've been talking about upgraded panels. He's provided some estimates that you've seen before that I received. So I think we do need to do that, do a comprehensive security review and upgrade.
I know there's a lot of things going on with the water and sewer capacity here in Etna. So I wanted to see if Mr. Vance would like to speak on that.
First, Madam President, is it the consensus of the Board of Trustees for staff to bring back some security options, camera options, et cetera, for your review and discussion in June?
Yes.
And I guess we are going to get to an item where you can identify items for the June work session.
I just speak with Rob Blevins, I think is that his name, Rob Blevins, with our security contractor over at the garage. Or actually, he was the hall security. We had somebody else, but we got rid of them.
Yeah,
They left over there.
Right.
Are we going to use him, or you talk about seeking other?
Well,
Because I think he's been good for the township.
well, he's been good for the township, you're saying, but I'm not sure if he's up to doing some of the other security stuff that we need to have in place. I'm not sure. I mean, you mentioned the IT side of it, streaming, that sort of stuff.
Well, Madam President, we can identify 2 or 3 contractors and meet with them and have them tour our facilities, this facility specifically, and see what proposals they might want to bring forward, and then we can compile those 2 or 3 different distinct contractor proposals or group of proposals and bring them to your attention in June, and await the results of your discussion and any kind of potential direction.
Well, I know you mentioned here, but our garage is needing upgrades. We've got millions sitting over there, equipment. We need to focus on that too. We need it here, but and do it all at once. It's going to be more savings. One set of one.
I agree. We need to do. Sorry.
Just let me answer Mark's question. I did bring that name up to Mr. Vance, and I believe he will check those quotes and he will be involved in one.
And there's no problem getting on the quote. You're just verifying, but
Yeah.
like I said, I think he's been good to work with. He's been responsive, and that's one of the things you look at. And a consultant that actually communicates with you and serves your needs when you need it.
And Madam President, if that consultant has history with the township, we would certainly want them involved.
Absolutely. A couple quotes. Back to the available at the water and sewer capacity. Mr. Vance, I know that's one of the areas that we had, I know you had talked to Mr. Stepp as well.
Right, and
Brief meeting.
And your management consultant basically is just trying to cover his bases. Etna's local economy is very strong. The regional economy is very strong. As far as my understanding of economies goes, it seems that available water and sewer capacity has a great deal to do with fueling additional economic development activities taking place. I believe that potentially, I haven't received any clarification officially from the Water and Sewer District of Southwest Licking County. We have a very capable representative, Mr. Trent Stepp, and he's here this evening. Good evening, Trent. And we'd like to work with him. I would like to work with Trent to confirm what capacity is available to Etna going forward. And I just wanted to make sure that the Board of Trustees had no objection to my doing so, and this discussion item is to provide a continuing opportunity for the Board of Trustees to provide staff direction in this regard.
Now, this is one thing I've been working on with quite a while with Rob Platt, with the school district, numerous meetings with David Hodge, the attorney for the developers, looking at possibly different tips, and that. Again, this is where the lack of communication from Mr. Vance is, I think, a concern that's not serving this township, that he should be willing to work with me in coming up to speed and finding solutions with this, and not excluding. As I said, I've been on this, I'm familiar with it. I have a good working relationship with the school district, and they're imperative if we're going to do any kind of, any tips, any change to the tips that the Water and Sewer District are proposing. And I spoke to Rob Platt prior. He didn't know anything about this agenda item. This Trent stepped in. He was inquiring of what, do you want us to be there? I think we need to start communicating to these entities and including them into these items, because they could have maybe provided some valuable information today for the board to see and discuss. But again, I've been involved with that. We've been waiting for almost a month tomorrow for another meeting with Rob Platt and the school district regarding changes to the 10-year 75 tips that were pushed through at the end of the last administration, and trying to maybe provide the additional capacity needed, the funds for that. So again, just like the Linz Road situation, it's something I've been involved in quite a bit, and not to use me as a resource or the purpose of excluding me, I don't think it's a benefit to the township. So I encourage you to reach out and include me in these matters going forward.
Madam President, whenever appropriate.
Yes.
I believe any local government likes to utilize any and all resources, positive resources that it has available to deal with any situation that can be improved. My understanding for the Etna Township Board of Trustees is that they have designated an appointed representative to the Southwest Licking County Water and Sewer Community District. And I would recommend that the Board of Trustees rely on that individual to report equally to all trustees at the same time any happenings or issues associated with water and sewer capacity involved in the Township of Etna, as opposed to provide that very valuable information to one trustee who then has limitations associated with what that individual is able to communicate in between meetings with the other two. And you could make it a normal item on every monthly agenda or every third agenda, or however you wanted to do it going forward, to get Mr. Stepp to bring his report to this Board of Trustees.
Now, one thing you might not be aware of is the Water and Sewer Board designated Rob Platt as the individual to deal with the sewer capacity issue. So he would, although Trent Stepp could provide reports on that, they designated Rob Platt as the individual that is heading that for their head.
Okay.
So he would probably be the point person. He's been the person I've been working with.
Okay, and Madam President, whatever the pleasure of the Board of Trustees as far as whatever point person, and obviously Mr. Stepp would be involved with those recommendations as well. But it's my understanding that currently there is very limited water available to not only Etna but Licking County, or there is a limitation associated with the available water capacity. It's my understanding that wastewater treatment capacity potentially is a much more dire situation, and I would recommend that we continue working with the Southwest Licking County Water and Sewer Community District to come up with some ideas to create additional wastewater treatment capacity. Potentially Trustee Evans, who's been working on this apparently for a long time, could go into greater detail as to potential solutions for the lack of availability of sewer capacity, and maybe some specific understandings as to when that sewer capacity could be available to the Etna region of Licking County. But it's my understanding that there is no definite plan at this point in time, and we'd like to get some more information on, if I am incorrect, what the plan is and when that capacity would become available. But my understanding is very limited, so I would like just to get permission, let's say, to continue to move forward with my education in these regards.
And there is a plan. There's another treatment plant. They're going to split the system. And here again, if you would speak to me, I could bring you up to date on these things. But the issue is the money, the funding of it. So if you do want to have a discussion, I could sit down with you and bring you up to speed pretty quick.
All right. Well, Madam President, I do work for the board as a whole, so items like this, I do wait until the board as a whole has a meeting to seek direction, to seek permission from the board. And going forward, it's my understanding that you do have some knowledge in this regard, so there is potential for those discussions to take place.
Just one clarification regarding the spreadsheet, and that just had to come from one trustee, but this has to come from the entire board.
I am going to be pursuing.
That's what I'm just saying.
Well,
Work with me for the benefit of the township is what I'm saying.
I will, as the board directs, I will work with those individuals professionally and positively. Yes, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Platt, I'm sorry, Mr. Stepp, can you speak, please, on your...
Yeah, there's a few things I should probably clarify just to make sure. This is my first time meeting Mr. Vance today, so I had a very brief conversation ahead of time. As we're all aware, I think the Southwest Licking Community Water Sewer District is comprised of entities in Licking County besides Etna Township as well. So what the Board of Trustees, both in Etna Township and in the Southwest Licking Community Water and Sewer District did at a joint meeting earlier this year was our board appointed Rob Platt, and this board appointed Mark Evans to work together in Etna Township for potential financing and other types of items for development within Etna Township. So Mr. Platt is more well-versed in those TIFs and JEDs and other types of those financial tools that are available to townships and to school districts as well as to our water and sewer district. Therefore, that's the reason that I was not one to handle that particular piece. I do, however, provide monthly reports to the Board of Trustees. I provide that via email to all the trustees, and I copy the general email address so that if any members of the public would wish to see that report, it's available. And I do that monthly. We have 2 meetings a month as a board at the Southwest Lincoln Community Water and Sewer District, and I provide a report on that. You did ask about capacity, and if it might be at the pleasure of the board, I can provide a little bit more input. I did take some time while I was listening to the rest of the meeting to make some notes that might be advantageous. We can work individually, I'm sure, at a later date, but I think it's important that a few items are highlighted. Let me start, if that's okay with the board. Water. So our water capacity is I would say, reasonable at the moment. It is not in dire straits in any way, shape, or form based on the development needs that we're seeing today. We have a state-of-the-art reverse osmosis system that can easily be expanded on site if and when the capacity needs to be increased. We've also recently purchased properties, permitted and tested new commercial wells that are under design and construction for increasing capacity of water. We are also connected to an expanding number of other districts with purchasing contracts available, so if we were to exceed our capacity of necessary water, we could purchase reasonably from other water sources if needed. Moving on to sewer, we do have sewer capacity challenges today. We have one partially constructed wastewater treatment plant at Gale Road in Etna Township. It's permitted for about 1/3 more capacity than it has currently been constructed and built out to. So we have EPA capacity as far as permits go. We don't have capacity as far as the physical construction of the site. So there are expansion potential or expansion possibilities in the future at that Gale Road facility. It's not inexpensive because of the technologies that are used in that particular plant. The district, for development purposes, does not guarantee capacity until a final development plan has been approved by Lincoln County Planning Commission. That is different than some other entities from a water and sewer standpoint, but we have to go through, we comment during the preliminary development plan timing as well as the final development plan timing, but we do not guarantee capacity until they are all the way through that at the Planning Commission. So as developers are interested in capacity, just please know that that won't be guaranteed until they have gone through the final development process with the county. Aecom is an engineering provider who has been selected as the winning bidder of a design on a new wastewater treatment plant at Wagram, which is also in Etna Township, out by the pool places at Meek Street. The land was purchased and permitted, so it is permitted for a wastewater treatment facility. We have no committed funding secured for that facility, which is what I alluded to earlier with Mr. Platt and Mr. Evans working for commitments to fund that plan. So there is a plan. However, the plan needs to be funded. And the Board of Trustees at Southwest Lincoln Community Water and Sewer District have been adamant that growth will pay for growth, that the residents and customers of the water and sewer district are not in need of additional capacity. The developers that are coming into the area are in need of capacity, therefore they need to be partners in the payment for that capacity. And that seems to be the sticking point, right, is who pays the bill. Primarily the Wagram facility will service the Pataskala area, Pataskala Corporate Park, as well as primarily everything in Etna Township, at least everything in Etna proper, and especially west of, let's say, Columbia Road. If funded, then if we can continue the plan as required, late 2024, early 2025 would be the in-service date for that new facility. That is what we are pushing for. That's what our general manager is trying to achieve. Procurement of equipment as well as construction crews and such will be probably competing with some Intel development. So I also personally believe, this isn't necessarily a shared opinion of the board at the Water and Sewer District, but I believe we need to fully expand that Gale Road facility, as I mentioned earlier, in order to accommodate growth in eastern Etna Township as well as Harrison Township and other areas to our east. That kind of leaves me with the 161 corridor. I won't spend a whole lot of time. That's not necessarily an Etna Township challenge. We do have a water tower currently in design that we plan to build for quite a number of years. That is happening along 161. So as you travel that corridor, you will see a new water tower sometime in the next 6 months, we believe. We also are working to secure a site that we can begin to design another wastewater treatment facility on the northern side of the district in that 161 corridor. There's a belief that we may ultimately need 2 along that 161 corridor. So we're looking at some comprehensive plans, if you will, or some future looking plans to get that to happen sometime soon as well, because as we know, the northern portion of the district is developing, and are going to develop at a rapid pace with the Intel announcement. Funding would appear to be more prevalent in that area, just because of the deeper pockets that seem to be involved there. Last thing I'll mention, and I appreciate the time here, trying to keep it as brief as possible, is rates. We have had multiple rate studies completed. One has been completed. They recommended usage fee increases of 50% as of January 1st, 2022. I don't think most of the folks here are interested in their water and sewer bill increasing by 50%. We have not acted on that recommendation. Instead, we ask for another perspective from a different firm that will be presented at a special meeting immediately prior to our next regular board meeting, which is not this Thursday, but the Thursday following. And lastly, usage rates have not increased in the district since 2012. So we have held our rates firm now for 10 years, and tap and capacity fees have not increased since 2008. So it's probably an unpopular thing, but with costs of everything increasing substantially month over month, we would likely see a rate increase being necessary in the near future. So not to surprise anybody, but that is a likely outcome. So unless you have specific questions, that's all I prepared.
I have a question for you, Trent. I know the Wagram plant's estimated about $25 million. What's the cost for expanding the Gale Road plant?
Similar.
Okay. What kind of capacities does that provide versus the new plant? I know it's more economical building the new one, I think it was. How much treatment?
Yeah, because, so from a capacity standpoint, something to make clear is it's not just a plant capacity issue, it's also the lines going to the plant. So creatively putting these online in the right places would keep us from having to, say, dig up Pike Street, for example, which I believe we're 18, 20 feet under Pike Street, so that freshly paved Pike Street would have to be completely torn out in order to replace that line, for example, which is an 18-inch line. So, yeah, to answer your question, there's reasons for having multiple facilities as well as having
but we're getting more bang for our buck at the new Wagram plant, that one. And then are you working, because I know there's a kind of comprehensive overview of the water and sewer system in Licking County that the commissioners and everybody are looking at. They said I think it should be done within 6 weeks or so. Is the district working with them, or they were looking at a comprehensive GIS map capacities to figure out where developments should be?
I'm going to have to say I don't know the answer to that question. I have not been a part of that, but I don't know that the district, I don't know
Maybe
to
it's
what
working.
extent the district has worked with that group. I'm certain CJ has been involved.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Madam President, one last comment. And thank you so much. I'm sure I can't wait to continue to work with you on these tough business issues. And so just for clarification, my understanding is at the earliest we could have additional wastewater treatment capacity, which is currently extremely limited if it does exist.
We're within 90, we're at 90+% capacity.
And that is, so that's essentially.
At some point, the EPA will make decisions as to when we stop allowing additional taps.
And Madam President, my understanding is that comes at 80%. So if we're at over 90%, if they haven't already, they're probably close to doing that. But the additional capacity that we hope for is not going to be available until 2024, 25, 26. But coupled with that, the funding to make that capacity, to create that capacity, wastewater treatment capacity, currently is non-existent, and we don't know when it might exist. So it seems there is a lot of work to do, and I think Etna absolutely is going to be assisting those efforts. So thank you for the opportunity to work with this group as well, and Trent, and thank you very much. And sorry for the short notice, but tonight's item was simply just to get it out there formally that Etna is interested in water and sewer capacity, and to give a new member of your team the ability to move forward and enhance my education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, at this point in time, as you know, the trustees are free to recommend items for the next monthly work session.
So discussion on items from June 21st, 2022, regular meeting work session. Is there items that you want to put on the work session for June 21st, which is the regular meeting work session?
For consideration, would you like to keep water and sewer on that work session?
So we're not putting work sessions on June 7th?
June 7th is, excuse me, Madam President, I'll help if you need me. The items associated with the policies, I think that's what Trustee Evans is referring to. And this is just for consideration. It might be good to bring your recommendations, your requests for deletion or inclusion in those draft policies, and I stress draft policies, back to the next work session so that you can talk through those items before they could be compiled into more of a final draft for formal consideration at a regular meeting.
Basic answer is all these work session items are just continuing on to the next one. You're not adding any of those for the next meeting.
If that is the pleasure of the Board of Trustees, yes.
That was just a question.
Yes.
Trustees, is there consideration for the June 7, 2022 regular meeting? That'll be June 7th, the regular meeting. Regular meeting, June 7th.
And Madam President, maybe, are you done with the work session, potential work session items for the 21st? Is it the consensus of this Board of Trustees to have maybe, let's start with the policies directed to the June 21st work session to move them into hopefully a final draft status for consideration at a regular trustee meeting shortly thereafter. And then anything else you would like to discuss?
Items. Yeah. Sorry.
I just wanted to remind you on that June 7th, if it works out for everyone, that's I want that ERCD text amendment. It got forwarded from the zoning commission, and I think the deadline deadlines for advertisement to put that public hearing on your June 7th.
Okay, that's for the PRCD?
It's your PRCD text amendment. It's ready to come to the board of trustees.
So are we on work sessions or agenda for, so I'm confused?
Work session. So Madam President, would you like me to put with trustee consensus approval items A through D on the June 21st work session agenda?
Yes, A through D. On the work session.
Is that supported by the rest of the Board of Trustees?
Yes.
Okay. And Madam President, I will keep a water and sewer capacity item on our work session agendas if the Board of Trustees has no objection. And Madam President, the Etna Development Agreement spreadsheet, if the Board of Trustees has no objection, can we bring updates to the Board of Trustees at the next work session, June 21st?
No.
Mr. Evans, you're okay with that?
Okay, and Madam President, would it also be appropriate for township staff to bring additional specifics associated with the town hall security possibilities, including the existing contractor that now works with Etna Township, associated with the township hall facility and the public works facility?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe, as far as your management consultant is concerned, I don't need any additional clarification associated with the June 21st work session. And if there is no additional discussion, you could go on to the June 7th agenda, but I will.
Is that work, excuse me, is that work session with the security going to include looking into that live streaming, possibly integrating that, or as a separate item so that we can start live streaming our township meetings?
Well, that's the thing, we have to look into it. We don't know if we can do it, but we will look into
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying, directing him to look into it or make it a separate item of looking into it. I mean, we can do it, it's just how we're going to do it. And I think we should start doing that sooner rather than later.
This item this evening, Madam President, if appropriate,
Yes.
we were just seeking direction on the security aspects, but we can, obviously, as Trustee Evans pointed out, if the Board of Trustees would like to direct us, we will go forward.
The security aspect of it is about making sure our buildings are safe, inside, out, as well as over at the garage.
Correct.
Now, the good news is we can always build on, add on as we go along. You know, as far as streaming, we don't have to do it all at one time. But the most important thing is getting, unless, once you get out there getting bids, it may be cheaper to do it all at one time, it may not. But those are questions that we have to ask.
And that's what I'm saying is, you might be able to get a security system that you can integrate with the live streaming so you don't duplicate cameras, you know. It's,
Well, that's
why,
what it is.
and that's what I'm saying, if you can do it, do it. Look at it in a comprehensive way, and if you gotta do it separately, do, but if you can put it together.
Madam President, we can confirm whether or not those capabilities exist. So we will do that.
Yeah. We're here, public comments are limited to 5 minutes, so please come up.
Are we doing the agenda?
June 7th agenda.
I'm sorry.
And Madam President, that is one of the things you spoke about at the work session, to have the all three trustees here so that you can negotiate agenda items for the next meeting 2 weeks away, so staff has an opportunity to put together information, direct that information to the individual trustees so that you have time to review it and then discuss it in a knowledgeable fashion at your next meeting.
Okay. So is there any consideration for the June 2nd?
I believe, as I was discussing with our attorney previously, that
Which one?
we need Peter Griggs, where he recommended we have an executive session to deal with the annexation of Reynoldsburg outside the agreement. I think that's very imperative. He wanted an executive session a month ago, and I believe that should have been dealt with already, but at minimum should be on the June 7th meeting for the board to discuss and make a decision to move forward and protect that. So that is one item. And then I would also like to put on there the Skidell update, Lynn's Road. Mr. Vance indicated May 20th was a date he was going to provide an update, so we give him a little bit more time, and he'll be able to update the residents and the board on that matter. And then if the streaming is not going to be dealt with through the security, I think that should be a separate item, because that's something we promised for quite a while and should have already been acted on, so I think that should be on there.
And Madam President, if we come across any information associated with the capabilities of the camera in that regard, we will bring it forth at your work session June 21st, just FYI again.
No.
I, as your management consultant, do not have any objections to an update on the Reynoldsburg annexation situation. We are going to be having some informal discussions with that attorney this week. So we will have something to update, and he will have something to update. The Skinnell FedEx update, I have no problem with that, June 7th.
And then the only thing regarding the agenda I would say is we need to restore the public comments to provide residents an opportunity to provide input on our actions and restore trust in them.
And if I could, Madam President,
Yes.
I think our thinking was just to try something at the end of the work session, since the work session, and this is our first one, obviously, that I've been involved in. I don't know how many work sessions that this Board of Trustees has had in the not too distant past, but a work session is an informal opportunity to generally discuss things and throw around ideas, and having the comments at the end, we thought in a proposal, a first try situation such as this, that then the residents could come forward with anything that the Board of Trustees may have overlooked that they would like the trustees to pay more attention to in regard to whatever topic you were discussing.
I would say if you want to do that, do public comments at the beginning. Many entities do it on agenda items, and at the end, just general stuff. However, if the board's actions are such that they have displeasure, they can come back to the next meeting and provide those input at the beginning. But putting it at the end tells everybody your input is not valuable. We don't want to hear what you say before we discuss and make our decisions. And I think that's inappropriate. We need to have them at the beginning or both. But I would like to hear from the residents before I make any decision or discussions, because they might have some good points that we haven't thought about.
And Madam President, I think the flexibility, if appropriate, Madam President, I think the flexibility is absolutely there to amend the agenda to have public discussion specific to the business items that fall before the work session, and then after the work session, and once again, this is not written in stone, and we would receive the direction of the Board of Trustees, and then provide an opportunity for public comment after your work session discussion. Once again, if the Board of Trustees discussion does not include items that somebody in the audience might feel relevant to, the goals that you are discussing, you are pursuing. Anyway, it's a work in progress, and nothing's written in stone in local government, so that's a good thing.
You can always change it,
I think it's better to give the people more voice than less, and sooner rather than later.
All right. So, Madam President, if no objection, we'll include the Reynoldsburg development item on the agenda for June 7th and the FedEx update as well. And any kind of camera capabilities associated with live streaming. If Trustee Evans has no objection, we're going to bring that information to the Board of Trustees at your June 21st work session.
What I think you should deal with live streaming also, not just what capabilities that security has.
Well, Madam President, that's what I was saying. Thank you.
Public comments are limited to 5 minutes. Please come up to the podium, state your name, address, and for the record.
Finally. Tom Adams, 64 Gale Avenue in Ohio. First item, storage 1. Thank you, Mr. Evans, for doing the light study. I was wondering if you had heard from the inspector, zoning inspector. Have you heard from him? Still nothing. Is the zoning inspector here?
Mr. Singleton.
What's the beat? Why do we have a discrepancy where those neighbors are having that direct light from storage 1 that had that for over a year now, and nothing's being done? Mr. Evans did a valid study on it. Why can't it be rectified? I'm speaking on behalf of my neighborhood in Orchard Glen. Feedback?
We can coordinate something. We'll coordinate something. Do you want to work on that? We'll add it tomorrow.
Feedback?
I can let you know, I sent an email with all the information last Wednesday.
Right.
I haven't heard anything back.
Right.
So that's, I'm waiting to hear from him.
Okay, but Mark, I appreciate your effort and hard work. We've been saying this excuse for over a year now. The residents are still having to face this direct light onto their house and in their bedrooms. For us to just sit there, with twiddling our thumbs, that's useless. That's not doing anything. Can we have something done concrete, please? When we get something done. Next item. Mr. Vance, I appreciate it, sir, that you came up to me personally and we had a discussion. I'd like you to work with Mr. Evans, and you gave me your word that you would, and you also indicated, Mr. Evans, this is directed to both of you. Mr. Vance said it's a mutual respect thing, so you both got to show respect towards each other. And I'm asking Mr. Vance again to please work with all 3 of the trustees to get them to work together. I see little sparks of it here and then during the meetings. But 45 minutes on that board is ridiculous. That was a joke. Okay? Like I said again. Okay? Please work with all 3 of them. Okay? You've got to work with all 3 of them. And please work with Mr. Evans, because he's spent a lot of time, going to us citizens, working with us citizens. He cares about us all. And I'm sure the other 2 trustees do as well. And Rosalind, I'm still looking for the same lady that I talked to last September. Okay, I'm still waiting for that lady to show up. I'm not bashing you, I'm just saying, I want to see the real Rosalind, okay, that I saw last summer. Okay? And lastly, what I want to say is I want to see more effort by everybody to work together and get everything done. And like I say, I wish I sent an email to the trustees. Mr. Evans was the only one that answered my email. I would have really appreciated if both the other 2 answered my email. So can you at least give me the courtesy to answer my emails? You got it. I know you got it. You had the time to answer it. Don't play me for some idiot, okay? Answer my emails, or as I stated, and I'll say it in public, I will put my emails on the Etna webpage for everybody to see, okay? It shouldn't come to that, but I wish they would do that. Please answer my emails. They're sensible requests. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
have horrible speech problems. So, my name is the worst thing for me to say, but we live at here on Laurel Drive, 421 Laurel Drive, southwest of my address. There's a couple of us out here tonight. So the land behind us, it's actually owned by the township. We all know all the way back. It's supposed to be maintained kind of by the township. If there's an area that's just so wet that it's hard to mow, about twice a year, somebody heads out there and mows it. But we had a meeting here before about houses who live on it, where we might be able to just maybe buy straight behind our houses. I know he's lived there since the 90s. Him and his wife, he's been mowing it ever since. I've lived there for about 10 years almost. I've always mowed it. If we don't, it gets mobbed with mosquitoes and stuff like that. I don't mind handling the mowing part. Right? It's nice to have it. You can mow it back there, and it's nice to look at. There's any houses back there, stuff like that. But we'd like to discuss, maybe could that be brought back up again as an idea, for us to maybe be able to, to own it at one point or another. We had some neighbors here the last meeting, it's been a couple years ago, I think, that weren't overly thrilled by it, but most of the neighborhood, nobody goes back there. It's just there, So anyway, I didn't know if that was anything that could be, spoken of, and see if we can work something out with that.
Is that
That's
property?
the property you had me check on it. We have a file on that. That all went down prior to COVID, and then when COVID hit, we weren't able to go out. We were supposed to go out and get notarized signatures from a certain percentage of the residents.
Yes.
And I know exactly what file you're talking about. Rosalind asked me about it.
Okay, yeah.
And I brought it to the board's attention several meetings ago, and it didn't go anywhere. So, yeah,
I mean,
we need to do something with that land.
It's wasted space for anybody, but the ones who live there, it's a way it, at least in a way it kind of, the way I see it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we mow it. That's boys' on a baseball field. We go back there and play in it and stuff like that. And, all of our grandkids.
Is what your neighbors keep Bobo or?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, I've been talking to. Speak with people.
Several years ago, we were approached by the
Can you state your
township.
name?
Oh, I'm
please?
sorry.
Or-
My name is
state
Yvonne
mine.
Bobo.
I'm
This is
sorry,
Kyle Dow.
Yvonne, Kyle, okay.
We lived,
Steve or something like that.
we live on Laurel Drive, and we've lived there since '98. My husband maintained the property, all of it, because, like he said, the township only came in twice a year. It promotes snakes, pests, whatever. We had no problem maintaining it, but we were approached several years ago by the township about the possibility of us buying that land. There's 5 of us homeowners there. And at that time it was Mr. Carlisle, he asked if we would be interested in buying. All 5 of us said absolutely. We came to a meeting with Mr. Carlisle and several of the others, and they came up with some type of a price depending on what the acreage was that we would be getting. This has been going on for, I don't know what, probably 4 or 5 years now. And we just would like to go ahead and see if we can get this land purchased. It goes straight back from where we all are, and we just want to go ahead and get it purchased.
We need to do something with it.
We need, right.
There's no reason for.
It's a liability for the township. If somebody goes back there and gets hurt, you guys are going to be responsible for it, not us, even though we maintain it. So
People have trampolines on there.
Horses.
Horses, people are riding horses back there. We've got people who go back there and play in the creeks. So if somebody gets hurt, it's a township liability. And we would just like to go ahead and buy, all 5 of us residents would like to go ahead and buy the property that is adjacent to us.
Like 4.1 acres. Something.
Yeah, it was something like that.
About a half acre each, but each get about roughly a half acre.
So, but we'd like to get that back on the agenda and get that done. We've
It's
been
been
promised this
dangled,
for
it's been
years.
dangled in our face for 30 years.
Yeah.
I've lived here for 30 years. For 30 years, I've wanted this property.
That's my husband Keith, but
They just keep dangling, pulling back, dangling, pulling back. I don't
Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay. You can go. I'll get closer.
Judy Kaffmeyer, 29 Roma Court Southwest, or Amazon West. There. I'll talk about something a little bit different, but important to all of us in Licking County. So in the past few weeks, I've had the privilege to meet with our Licking County Commissioners and Mark Frazier, who's the Ohio representative for District 71. The purpose of our meetings was to impress the importance of safeguarding Licking County, its prime farmland and rural integrity. One of the key provisions in Senate Bill 52, passed in October of 2021, is to have one county commissioner and one township trustee sit on the power siting board when applications are made by outside commercial interests to invade our townships. Although the commissioner and trustee would have input, they have no vote. I am aware that there is currently discussion about strengthening Senate Bill 52, but I don't have any information about that at this time. But a very crucial component to this legislation provides for exclusionary zones. And our trustees get to make that decision. An exclusionary zone allows a township to refuse access to our sacred assets by outside corporate interests that purchase and lease prime property, tying it up for decades, making the productive farmland useless. In recent weeks and months, I've heard people at these meetings express very passionately, enough warehouses, and in other townships in Licking County, no solar farms and no wind farms. Well, this is our local opportunity to actually say enough is enough. At the commissioners' meeting, we were somewhat assured that the township decision would be supported by them. So that's good news. But we all know that the fox is always waiting for a crack in the henhouse door. And an alternative legislation was proposed in December to dismantle Senate Bill 52. This is House Bill 429 and appears to give complete control of our townships to unelected bureaucrats. This bill does not seem to have legs, but anything can happen when palms get greasy. So far, our elected officials have our back. Let's keep it that way. And I was given some open dates to schedule a meeting with our District 72 representative, Kevin Miller, and to get his take on these matters. If ever there was a time for our 3 elected official township trustees to agree on something, this is it. You have your moment, get your acts together, you represent us. And also, as a side note, as a concerned resident, I would like the trustees to revisit putting the public comments back at the beginning of the meeting. There might be information presented that needs to be added to future agendas. And I think in previous township meetings that I've been to over the years, there are council meetings. There might have been public comments at the beginning where things are expressed, and then a brief commentary at the end, like 2 or 3 minutes. So 5 minutes at the beginning, 2 minutes at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Brian Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. I want to second the folks that were looking at buying that land. I joined that land just barely. It would be nice to have people that owned it, that were committed to it, that care about who were on it, because I had the same problem with horses. They'd come through that property to come to mine, and they just thought that was okay. So this is my personal interest in making that move forward. Second, I also like to agree that I'd like to see the public comments in the back, in the front of the meeting instead of the back of the meeting. Although maybe something for you guys to consider. Maybe we could shorten the minutes, or shorten the comments to 3 minutes. Maybe do 3 in the beginning, 3 in the end, something like that. Because not everybody wants to speak at both parts. It's a challenge to run a meeting. I don't care who's the president. The flow, the discussions. I can see the challenges that Ms. Brown faces trying to put the meeting minutes together. One of my complaints with the last board was the time between the meeting and the adoption of minutes. The public, they can't be here, maybe doesn't have Facebook, can't see what's going on. So it's important that we're looking at and approving the minutes in a timely manner. I'm not saying the next meeting, like approve this meeting, but maybe a month out, but right now we're 3 months out, and now we've got an issue with the March 15th meeting minutes. That should have been addressed before now, I believe. So I'd like to see, with the addition of our consultant, Mr. Singleton's back in, so maybe there's not as much burden on Laura. We can all work together to get the meeting minutes accurate and approved. Let's see, Mr. Vance made a comment. He said it's not just a personality issue with working with trustees. I challenge Mr. Evans and Mr. Vance. We both have electronic calendars. I'd like to see you guys set a meeting before you leave here today. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Let's set a meeting and then maybe talk about how it went. I mean, it doesn't have to go perfect. You guys can set a meeting today. There's nothing, you can take 3 minutes at the end of the meeting, maybe look at calendars and set something up. Talk about whatever you guys want. It could be a 15-minute meeting. It's a start. Let's get it started. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve on the committee. I'm really excited to have a voice in it and see how that goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road. Where do I start? Mr. Vance, if you're going to work with Mr. Evans, you'll be working for him. Whatever. Last meeting, there was a person got up and said something about Mr. Evans' personal camera in the room. He uses this system to do his dirty laundry on the internet. I have been the privilege of my picture on his post a couple times this month, and I'm available for autographs if anybody's interested. I don't know what that's all about. I was accused of harassing taxpayers and voters. So, you know, the accusations that he makes, and maybe if we get a camera in the building, it won't be his personal, and he won't be able to, maybe you guys can tell him to turn it off. Thank you very much. It doesn't matter where the meetings, where the minute comments are, because if we make comments before, we're making comments on what was last meeting and not, you know, what's coming up. So not knowing what is decided during the meeting. So it doesn't matter, you know, we're here for the meeting. Thank you.
Alicia Zacher, 79 Trail East, Etna. I have requested for a month, at least 2 or 3 requests, for copies of the public records for the video that Mr. Evans films. He represents his township, and he films it for the township, and then he puts it on YouTube, and sometimes he sends it to other Etna residents as if that's part of Etna Township documentation, but it's edited. And when Ryan Davis was up taking video and someone went at him and told him to put his camera away, that's not on there. And when Linda Cornell is yelling at somebody across the way, it's not on there. You cannot edit that and use that as part of the township. This is where we have our forum. This is where we have our discussions, our conflicts, whether we selected you or not. This is the place for us to do it. If you feel you were harassed last year because Mr. Kennard put 2 fingers over behind your head, that's not harassment. This is the place to do it, not Facebook. Not where some people can comment, some people don't. Some people don't get on Facebook. Some people are kicked off of your Etna community page, like my neighbor, so he has no opportunity to comment. I do believe that you should have something to provide the township. But if you say, like you did on the 13th, that Trustee McKee is taking you and telling you not to record things, it's probably because what you're doing is cutting the film. You're not providing the entire thing. When you start it at 10 till and the recorder's on, provide it. But to cut it to your benefit is the problem I have with it. And then to shut it off and not provide what you videotaped everybody doing, I have a problem with. And you think it doesn't apply to the sunshine law, but I do. And so, I mean, I'm sure the Attorney General's office will have that decision. But this is the place to have your discussion. This is the place to have your complaints and talk about what your issues are with the township and the trustees, not Facebook, where everybody cannot speak or it's not included on your page. That's my issues with them. He had every right to come over here and say it. When you told everybody to be quiet, and I was here for it, you told everybody to be quiet so you could give your commentation. You were, watching yourself, talking to yourself, and everybody else in this room should be quiet for you. That's not okay. You should have took it outside. He wasn't harassing. You just didn't like what he had to say. That's the problem. When you don't like what somebody has to say, you don't provide any proof. You just make statements. That's the divisiveness I talked to you about, and I emailed you. I'd like my public records for the videos that I have requested since you have put this out here from January on forward. Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
You go, sir. You sure? Oh, man, I'm gonna rip their ass.
I'm just kidding. Johnny Greens, 9617 Lynn's Road. I'm the one that had the 14, 15 questions last time, and I know Ms. McKee said we're not here to answer questions, but however, I do want to let everybody know that at the end of the meeting, Mr. Vance did approach me and asked me to send my questions to him. He answered what he could, and Ms. McKee reached out to me, asking if I could meet with her, and Vance, last Friday, my schedule was built up, so I had to decline. We scheduled it yesterday at 1 o'clock. Sat down, had a nice meeting right in here. Yeah, I mean, we bickered a little bit back and forth, but that's expected. Answered all my questions, good or bad. We agreed to disagree, and we moved forward. Moving forward, I do want to thank, I said, to let you all know, I'm also the advancement chairman for the Tazewell Boy Scout Troop 21. And I'm also one of Orchard Glen's HOA trustees. And we were trying to redo our entranceways. And we worked with the scouts to come out and plant flowers. I reached out to the township, gave them a call, said, hey, the township would like to come out. Some of the scouts may not even know you, but I thought it'd be a good thing for the trustees maybe to come out and see the scouts and say hi. And Mr. Evans did show up right on time when we started, 6 o'clock. And might I add, he got his hands down and dirty, helped with the scouts get the flowers planted. It took them a little over an hour. I mean, they really rocked it, knocked it all out. And for that, I just want to thank you guys. I believe Mr. Adams talked about our Orchard Glen area. I would like to reiterate that lighting issue. That has been an ongoing issue since they put it in. I also like to say that please, when you're talking with them about the lights, also talk to them about maintaining both sides of their
their fence because they're not doing it. And even that I guess it's an open style fence as you're coming down Pike, and you can see that they're not maintaining that and keeping it trimmed like it should, and it just looks tacky, it looks overgrown. So if you please stay on for that. I'm not one of the owners back on Crabapple, that's part of our neighborhood, but they do have a lot of complaints about mosquitoes. So in that retrospect, there is behind all their homes, even though Orchard Glen Homeowner Association owns the property, it's common property, can the township work with I'm sure the board would meet with you guys maybe to work something out. Is there anything we can do with that wetland? Maybe to help dry it up, get rid of, that's what's causing all the mosquito problems. And I think the Department of Health actually did some tests back there. Not sure how their tests turned out, but if y'all can check in on that as well. But then we do have a huge mosquito problem that we definitely need to get that addressed. And because I know they smoke the neighborhood, but I'm telling you, if the wind's blowing this way, that smoke ain't hitting where it needs to go. So I think traps and stuff needs to be baited properly into the actual standing water. There is standing water right now if you walk back there. Even though we've had 80-degree days. I mean, you better wear galoshes if you want to go check it out. But wanted them to check in on that. Also reiterating, I met with Mr. Singleton and Mr. Vance on Lynn's Road. I believe at Vicky's house, behind her house. And I know that they're working on that, which is a great thing. Especially if you get a chance to come at night to look at it, you get even a better chance of seeing how bad it is. And to be honest with you, the same lighting they're getting, it's actually worse at the storage unit that I believe Mr. Evans did use a light meter or whatever. It's worse there. And I believe even Deborah Altman has shared us some pictures at night. She could be sitting in her window, look out the window. I mean, you can't even see anything. It just looks like a glare. And it's really bad. So I just want to get the township support on that. And I want to thank you all for at least taking the time to work with me, answer my questions. That meant a lot to me. I mean, I'll be honest with you, before I felt thunderstruck and wanted to smack somebody, but I'm glad you guys reached out. That means a lot to me.
Thank you.
And Mr. Vance as well. Just want to give accolades. I do like the idea that I believe you brought it up and Mr. Vance mentioned about having a before and after. And I do like the gentleman's request of maybe not 5 minutes, but 3 minutes. You know, maybe even say what you're going to do at the beginning is only going to be addressing the agenda items. The end would be like items that I'm just explaining to you. Okay, that's just a thought. You know, because like you said, we can work it out. But I do want to thank the township for what they're doing. Thank Mr. McKee for coming out with the scouts. They loved it. They appreciated it. Or, I'm sorry. Clear hand. Just sorry. But yeah, thank you all. And sorry that you all couldn't make it. You missed a nice time. The boys did enjoy it. And I'm here to help. Anytime you need it, just give me a shout. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny.
Steve Slide, 1372 Londondale, Parkville, Newark, Ohio. So I wanted to come speak tonight because I see a lot of things on Facebook talking about the industrial park. 22 years ago, when I was on the school board, it was our school board that voted to abate a lot of the land that the industrial park is on 22 years ago. Not the last trustees. Those trustees back then were Ken Jacks, Todd Taylor, and Tom Bingham. That was the trustees that worked with Licking County Commissioners and with the school board with regard to the early set of abatements that were put out that started the whole industrial park concept. So to say that the whole concept is the fault of the previous administration is an error. You know, there was 5 school board members 22 years ago that all 5 of us voted to abate that property, or a big portion of it. Those buildings, when they go up, those abatements are put in 5, 10 years they're voted on before a building could even go in there. You know, when the owner of the property, you know, whether it's Prologis or, you know, at the time it was Southgate Corporation, you know, they're the ones that come to the county, to the school board, and ask for that land to be abated. And then it can take years, decades, for something to land on that property. So these decisions were made, in large part, by previous board members that had nothing to do with the last administration, but yet they're the ones that keep getting hammered. I'm not going to talk about the lighting because I don't live on Lynn's Road. I don't know what Lynn's Road's like, so I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to comment on what I think should be coming to Township. I don't live out here. I'm coming out here tonight to address the issue with regard to the tax abatements that were issued initially that started the industrial park. The other thing that I do want to address, however, with regard to why I am here tonight, is because you, Mr. Evans, in October 2021, put a post on Facebook saying that I was bullied out of the 2017 race by John Carlisle. And I sent you a message and I explained why I left that race. Instead of you removing that post or clarifying it, you doubled down even harder on it. And that has been the history with you on everything. You've doubled down when you're wrong, and you will not let up off of it. You see this time and time and time again when it comes to you on Facebook. Anybody questions you, you will pull out all the stops on that person. Mr. Vance is too nice to say it, but I'll say it. He's not working with you because you did nothing but slander his name. From the minute his name was proposed, at the meeting, I think it was February, you did nothing but attack him at every opportunity you could. But then you wonder why he won't pick up the phone and talk to you. I agree with Mr. Abbott. They do need to work together. That needs to happen. But I will also say, from serving on a school board, when we had a consultant, individual board members did not have free reign with a consultant. Consultant worked for the board. Now, if the board said, we want Mr. Evans to work with you on this specific subject, then the consultant would work with Mr. Evans or any board member. But to just say unilaterally, I get to have free reign of using him whenever I want to, I've never seen a consultant be able to do that with an elected body. You serve the board as a whole, not individually. So, with regard to that situation, hopefully, for the good of the township, you see some, reconciliation come from that, because I think it only will work out better if everybody's on the same page. Finally, the last thing that I want to say, some people in the township may remember these names. This guy over my shoulder, Paul George, he was one of the township trustees out here. Great man. Some people agree with him, some people didn't agree with him. But he loved Etna Township. There was no question about that. The man over this shoulder, John Carlisle, you can like him or dislike him. He was voted in numerous times to this township. People like him, some people didn't like him. The thing that both of those guys did was they did what they thought was best for Etna Township. Just like Kenny Jacks, Todd Taylor, Tom Bingham, Terry Higgins, Dan Brevard, we can go through a litany of past trustees of Etna Township. And Gary Burkholder, he was a township trustee. We go through all these people that they had one common thing in mind, Randy Ford. They wanted to do what was right for Etna Township. You turn them into being a villain. You make them seem like that they were the worst thing that could walk the face of the earth with regard to Mr. Carlisle and Mr. Ford. You've called them corrupt. You've said they've done bribes, everything that you could possibly do. You took office, and you were still as obsessed with them after you took office as you were before you took office. The campaign was over. You had won. I'm not sure why that was still continuing to go on. Is my 5 minutes up?
It is.
Okay. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I just wanted to set the record straight with regard to the tax abatements. It was not the past board's fault.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Gary Burkholder, 254 Trail East. I've just got a couple items here as a former township trustee and also as having served in the capacity that Mr. Stephan has served in. I served 3 years on the Water and Sewer Board as well. So I'm very happy to see that you're going to continue that item on the agenda. I think it's very important. As water and sewer goes, so goes development in this community. I think we have a lot of challenges, as we heard here tonight, relative to capacity. And so I would like to see more transparency on that. I think it's probably an issue that should be discussed, or at least get an update at every single meeting. And this is no reflection on Mr. Stepp, since he's the only representative from Etna. But I have asked the Water and Sewer Board if they would also stream their meetings as well. They do stream them live, but they're not archived. And I think it's important not only for Etna Township, but for the entire district, for all of us, to have more information, more education, and how that's going to impact the quality of our life. I think Mr. Sabatino was here several meetings ago, and I talked to him after his comments. You know, several of these developers have come in with projects, and they really don't want to have to wait 3 and 4 years. I realize it's not a guarantee until it goes through Licking County planning, but I think we can do better as a county of having better communication at the TRCs. What is the capacity? What is the timetable? So I'm happy to see that this is becoming an agenda item for the Etna Township Trustees. My second item is something that I talked about over a decade ago, and that is Columbia Road. And I would ask that the Board of Trustees consider putting that on the capital improvement plan. I did request and I received a capital improvement plan for Etna Township, but it appears it hasn't really been updated since 2016. If there's a more current version, I'm more than happy to take a look at that. But over a decade ago, and I've lived in Cumberland Trail for 20 years, I talked about the development that's going there. I even attended the public hearing when they dedicated the sidewalk and the right-of-way on Columbia Road when the county commissioners came out. And if you look at the strip center, there's no sidewalk. Well, there's a sidewalk, but it's underwater. There's no sidewalk that you can easily access that walkway that goes down to the apartments from the strip center. There's no stop sign at the strip center, and people repeatedly come out of there thinking they don't have to yield, even if you're coming down Columbia Road. I believe we've had one fatality on Columbia Road. There are sidewalks on the other side, which I'm glad those were required for that development. But on the Cumberland Trail side, there are no sidewalks. So I would like to see that get on the capital improvement plan. I would like to see engineering begin. And with the improvements that are going to happen on Refugee Road, which I go clear back to the 2004, 2007 era when I served on the Board of Trustees, there is going to be obviously a lot more traffic coming down Columbia Road. I hope we're getting some enforcement, because that has become a drag strip. I think we've had some other residents in here talk about the safety of kids trying to go to Etna Elementary. I know years back we talked about a safe routes to school. I'd like to see that implemented. There is funding for that. I've worked on projects in other jurisdictions. But this is a safety issue, and I have to be honest, I am critical of the previous board for diverting monies, literally over $1 million, that should have been used for engineering and improving the public safety here in that township. So I ask that the trustees take a look at this along with Mr. Vance, and I'd like to see that get added for the public safety. And when you look at the number of units that serves, there are over 200 units in the apartments, 60 condos in Cumberland Trail, probably over 300 single-family homes there. And then on the other side, you have the condos up by the clubhouse, and then you have probably over 200 homes in Cumberland Crossing. So it's not just here. I think every neighborhood, mobility, walkability are important issues. But now's the time to plan. We see how long it took us to get Taylor Road done, and that was well over a decade to get that road improved. And I think this is a priority given the number of residents that it served. And I respectfully ask that the Board of Trustees consider this and maybe put this item on a subsequent agenda for discussion. Thank you.
Hi, mine's totally different. I'd like to know who maintains culverts on Connie Hine. I live at 10293 Smoke Road. And I'd like to know who maintains culverts in our road. They're way too high. And the water is not even going through them. It's going backing up into our farm field and it's knocking out about 8 or 9 acres totally wet. And we talked to somebody up here, our man is farming our farm, and he said, the trustee says they don't have anything to do with culverts. Is that so? The township doesn't maintain culverts?
No.
We got 2, they don't?
No, we do, and the road crew does. Is it, what location is it? Because Don Copley has been out, and I've been out to several.
2 culverts on Smoke Road that goes into our farm.
Is it
that are
one?
above water. The water's, there's about 10.5 inches water in the tile that's not moving, so it's backing up into our field. It's causing blowouts in our field. So we're having quite a problem with that.
Is that the 18-inch culvert in the road that you're talking about?
Yes.
That one?
And it's above, and all we want to know is if we can burrow under it and let the water go through so that we can have our field drained.
Well, we can talk to you more. There is, Bubba did meet out there, and there's a field tile that runs below that.
Now, which culvert is he talking about? They're both the same way. We have a culvert on down towards, we have the barn and the farm and the cattle down there. That culvert there is also very bad. And then up where I live, up towards the interstate, that culvert also is the same way. And it's just not in there in the water. It's not doing any good at all. And I want to know what is the responsibility of the township to maintain these culverts.
I can meet with you. Like I said, Don Copley has been out there numerous times, looked at it with the farmer that's, I guess, running the field. And I've also been out there, and I can go more into detail with that. But no, we do maintain the culverts, but there appears to be a drain tile that's going below that.
Yes.
That's lower. That's I guess the issue. But I'll meet with you. And
okay. They told him to go see Brian at the Water and Soil.
Licking County Water and Soil regarding that stream of clearing that vegetation.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from him? Because he said he was going to talk to you trustees about that. So that's what I'm concerned about, because it's our farm and we're losing lots of money. We're paying a lot of taxes, so we'd like to have those culverts fixed.
And I've got a meeting with the one other resident that was concerned about that stream. I guess that lives to the north of that.
Right.
This week.
Yes.
So
there's 2 streams.
Yeah,
right.
and that is with Licking County Water and Soil with the stream.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll get with you.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, Rachel Zelazny, 10141 Tollgate Road. I actually like the idea of having comments at the end. However, I do feel like they should be at the beginning as well. Last meeting, I know I spoke to a couple of trustees and Mr. Vance about the new board that they were creating and didn't think of adding the school board onto it. And I was beyond frustrated because, like he just mentioned, I feel like our students get the shaft way too much. Especially after Casey was sitting here talking at the beginning of the meeting that just with the different issues on Columbia Road with Etna School right before the meeting. So it's just a little frustrating. But I do think that the school board should be involved in more projects. I know even having conversations with different trustees and talking about how a warehouse being next to the bus garage wouldn't affect the schooling, which I 100% disagree, because I don't think semis are going to let school buses out, where at Etna Elementary School there's no school signs, no speed zones, nothing. And I am one of the later parents to pick up my child because I don't like waiting in line with the screaming baby. But I stop and I allow all 10 school buses to release every day. I don't know what other semi is going to do that for other parts. I love the idea of a safety bus route. I know before I switched to picking my child up, before Etna Elementary was open, my kid was on the bus for a minimum of an hour a day to school and then another hour home, which makes it a really long day. So efficiency and safety is always a concern for me. But I would like to see the school board more involved in your guys' decisions and children a priority, because my children matter. I also would like more, I know you guys approve different projects, but I don't think a lot of people stay on top of it. What I've noticed just with my own personal situation is that you guys are giving the developers or the owners too much credit. Where I contacted Land and Soil, thank you for giving me his number, I didn't even know that was a thing, and the company never even contacted him to state that they started construction, which started 8 months ago. So that's beyond frustrating because they were supposed to build a retainer before anything. Guess what? They haven't. I don't have a driveway whenever it rains. Everything, the retainer is my yard. So it's taking over my yard, it's crumbling my driveways. It's a lot for us to deal with for living here for exactly a year. But what I'm noticing is that unless I'm continuously following up or contacting to get the next number, no one else is doing it. So zoning isn't going to go out unless there's a complaint like, hey, you might want to look at this. Like, there's no follow-up from anybody, and there's a lot of departments involved, not even just Etna. You have the Licking County and whoever else. And what I thought was hilarious this week is that because my neighbor wasn't like, hey, we're starting, no one's checking. So then it's, well, now I know they're doing electrical. Did they tell them? Is anybody checking the electrical? Who's doing the permits? You know, so it's a lot for me that they're expected, or as departments, we're expecting them to notify us instead of somebody in our community or the departments following up. So I feel like that would be helpful to be proactive. That's all.
Anybody else? I'm going to speak as a resident since we got rid of trustee comments. Mark Evans, 91 Old North Church Road. First of all, like I said, I have to speak here in public comments because this board decided to end trustee comments and announcements. I think that's not proper. It's trying to silence the minority view on this board again. We are here to answer people's questions. I know last meeting was saying we are, the chairperson said we're not here to answer people's questions. We are. At least I am. And so I would like to say with Mr. Attard, the Sorge one, along with Blue Monkey and several others, are issues that I've brought up since taking my seat, and it's been ignored or just pushed aside. I've yet to hear from our zoning inspector, and I hope to hear that soon regarding this important issue with the residents. I mean, we're here to work for the residents. Regarding Laurel Drive, I do agree that we need to do that. There's no need to procrastinate any longer. It's not that difficult. We should be able to get it done. And as I said before, I can help get a lot of signatures. I did during the referendum. So I'll be more than happy to assist you with that and continue to push here. Judy Kaffmeyer, regarding the HB 429, we do have to watch what's going through the system because too often they do try to put things through that benefit the developers and local officials and not the residents. So we do have to speak up on that. And I encourage you to speak with Kevin Miller. He's a good guy and he will listen. Regarding John Kennard and the photo that was online, that was actually taken off a video by Matt King, Ashley King's husband. It was not my photo of him harassing me during that meeting. So I had nothing to do with that. Regarding Alicia Zacher and the video, all video is posted of actual township business. There is nothing that is left out of township business, and I do this as a personal endeavor until the township does it itself. I've been doing it for I think over a year and a half, to provide that transparency, and I think the township should start doing it immediately. I don't know why there's any delay. There's a lot of call for we are equal in public, but in private, I'm told we're not equal.
Mark, let's stop the lie.
This
That's
is
a lie, so let's stop the lie. So that's not true. It's not true. Okay.
it is true. And regarding Mr. Sly's comments about the industrial park, yes, it's supposed to be in an industrial park, and there's statements in there, but the problem is outside the industrial park. That 310 Palmer development, there was already in works financing for that road improvement. That was a done deal until they got the pressure to not do it. That's outside of our industrial park. If they should be anywhere, it should be in that industrial park. Mr. Burkholder is speeding. We do need to enforce that. And we hired 2 more deputies, so hopefully we can get that in there. And regarding you saying that's a lie, do you want me to prove that it's not a lie?
Mark, you took it out of context. All I said was, because I told you, and I've heard Jeff tell you over and over again, we're equal. We get 1 vote per trustee.
This is my time.
A president of a board just gets to control the agenda.
You
That's it.
devil. I see you, devil. You have no authority here.
Right,
You
that's
leave.
when we were here.
No, we are equal. You're telling me to leave?
That is what I get in private.
And you know why?
Thank you.
Tell the rest of the story. Tell the rest of the story. So this is what Mr. Zach was saying. You only played this part. What about your side of it, Mark? What about your side of it? You won't talk about it.
Craig Zacher, 79 Trail East. First of all, Mrs. McGee, I did not vote for you. But this is my 4th meeting I've come to. Come to respect you and the job you're doing. Also you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Evans, you're a different story. You are so unprofessional, and your word is transparency, transparency, transparency. Let's be transparent, Mr. Evans. When you were running for this position, you were not paying your taxes to Lincoln County or Southwest. You're in foreclosure. You are soon not going to even be a resident of this township, okay? You have numerous bankruptcies. Your background in finance is horrible. And you want to sit here and tell us how to spend our money in this township when you're in foreclosure? Shame on you. You should resign immediately. And your behavior towards these other trustees and other people that don't agree with you, you're disgusting.
Thank you so much for the no personal attacks.
Amen, brother.
I don't know about you guys, but this is downright embarrassing. I'm embarrassed.
Look what
to
you've
have a
accomplished.
township.
Zilch.
I am embarrassed to even be a member of this township. I'm telling you, this is something.
Do you know that everybody's laughing at our council, our township meetings?
People look at somebody's not going to be a resident.
I'll let me
That's nice.
finish, I'm okay. All right, my name's Ashley King, 75 Trail East. You got upset about a personal attack, Mark, but you brought my name into something that I did not do just 2 minutes ago. And my husband may have videotaped a meeting, but that is not me. I am separate from my husband. I want to make that very clear that his decisions are not my decisions, his opinions are not my opinions. We are 2 different people. I'm very tired of people acting like we are the same person when we're not. We are married, we respect each other, and we respect different opinions. Much like you guys need to do with each other, compromise is huge when you are doing a trustee board, anything in your life. Compromise. And I don't see it coming from you a lot of the time. I know that earlier he wanted to just put the top 8 up and say, hey, all right, who do we have matched from our top 8? And then it turned into a 15-minute discussion about who you're going to have on the CAC board, and it was embarrassing. And everybody's going to be sitting there watching this, everybody. My aunt's about to move into this township, and she literally told me, she was like, is it that bad? And I said, they're working on it. I don't know what else to tell her. It's not easy to explain to people that it went pretty crazy pretty quick. But all it is Facebook attacks, a lot of the time it says, oh, hey, we have proof of this, but then there's no proof put on Facebook. And that's fine, that's your opinion, but I am not going to keep sitting there and taking your personal attacks on me because you have done it to me multiple times. You have. You can shake your head no. You've said I attacked you, and all I've ever stated is my opinion. I'm allowed to disagree with you as well as everybody else. That is all I want to say. I am not my husband, and I'm allowed to have a different opinion than other people. And my opinion is not my neighbor's. Their opinion is not mine. We are different people. Treat me as an individual. Thank you.
No, ma'am.
Make a motion to pay the bills and approve the purchase order.
Because she had that one as a resolution for Robert, you really need to do those two separate. You need to do the motion for the bills and then do the resolution with the,
Pay bills, any motion to pay the bills?
she has a resolution for the purchase order, so you really need to break that out into two items.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. All right, I make a motion to approve the purchase order resolution 22051702.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move resolution to approve the purchase order as presented. Is there a second? Sorry.
Didn't we just do that?
I just did that. Sorry, I didn't scratch it off on this here. Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
You want to state the time for adjournment? For Laura?